You fought admirably. I will not forget you, Sukuna declared, his tone a mix of respect and satisfaction as he stood before the bisected form of Satoru Gojo. The King of Curses acknowledged the rare thrill of facing someone who had truly challenged him. In the afterlife, been a while, huh? A familiar voice called. Gojo turned to see none other than Suguru Gito, his closest friend from years past, striding toward him with a soft smile. The sight was unexpected, and for a brief moment, Gojo's usually unshakable composure faltered. Gito's appearance was exactly as Gojo remembered from their teenage days, his expression warm despite the strange reunion. Realization hit Gojo like a weight. He had been defeated. If he was seeing Gito here, his soul must already be making the passage into the afterlife. This is the worst," Gojo muttered with a half-smile, his voice carrying both disbelief and resignation. As his gaze swept the area, he noticed not only Gito, but the gathered faces of comrades long gone. An involuntary grin tugged at his lips, bittersweet yet genuine. Memories washed over him, his countless battles, victories, and the moments of camaraderie that had defined his life. But above all, his mind drifted to his students. He briefly considered one last desperate act, pouring all of his reversed cursed energy into reviving himself so he could guide them once more. Yet, he set the thought aside. Gojo had no regrets. He trusted the next generation to carry forward what he could not finish. Sharing one final smile with the spirits around him, he watched as each departed toward whatever awaited beyond. Soon, only he remained, until an unseen force began to draw him toward a warm, inviting light. As he let the glow envelop him, everything faded to darkness. Unknown location, outskirts of Konoha, the air was filled with pained cries and labored breaths. On a futon, a woman with long crimson hair and striking emerald eyes fought through the agony of childbirth, Kushina Uzumaki, Konoha's feared Red Death. At her side knelt a man with spiky blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, famed throughout the nations as the Yellow Flash. "Minato, I swear I'll kill you for putting me through this," Kushina roared between contractions. Minato flinched, well aware of his wife's temper, something even the Ninetales had learned to respect. "You're almost there, dear, just a little more," encouraged by Wako, the experienced midwife and wife of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Moments later, the cries of a newborn filled the room. The infant's hair was a pale shade of blonde, lighter than Minato's, and his wide blue eyes shone with a brilliance that made even seasoned shinobi pause. For a heartbeat, the Ninetales stilled inside Kushina, sensing an unfamiliar yet potent energy. Another who can draw from hatred, intriguing, the beast thought. As Baiwako wrapped the child in a blanket, Minato bent down to comfort Kushina, both of them overwhelmed with joy. "Kushina, thank you. You've given me the greatest gift I could ever hope for," Minato said, voice thick with emotion. Kushina, tears welling in her own eyes, pressed a kiss to his cheek. Minato moved to reinforce the seal restraining the Ninetales, until an icy voice cut through the moment. "Step away from the Jinchuriki Yellow Flash." A tall man stood before them, cloaked in black, with long jet hair and a chain running from his wrists to bracers on both arms. A yellow mask covered most of his face, save for a single hole revealing a blood-red Sharingan. Minato and Kushina froze in horror. In the stranger's grip was their newborn son, a kunai pressed to his tiny throat. Baiwako and the nurse lay lifeless on the floor. Forcing himself to stay calm, Minato spoke evenly. "We can discuss whatever you want, just don't harm our child." "I didn't even sense him approach. Who is he? How does he know this place?" Minato's mind raced, already forming contingencies. The masked intruder's tone was flat. "I want the beast sealed inside your wife. Hand her over or the boy dies before he takes another breath." Kushina's eyes went wide. "Naruto," she screamed, her voice cracking. The baby began to cry, and something strange rippled through the air, a faint but noticeable pressure emanating from the child's tiny body. The masked man's eyes narrowed. "Impossible, he's too young to use chakra. Yet this feels heavy." When Naruto's eyes opened, the man found himself caught off guard by their depth, a sensation reminiscent of gazing into a legendary dijutsu. If this child survives, he may become someone to watch. Shaking off the thought, the intruder hurled Naruto into the air, explosive tags wrapped around his blanket. Now, yellow flash, let's see your speed. In a flash of golden light, Minato appeared, stripping away the explosive tags and vanishing again with Naruto to a safe house on Konoha's outskirts. Placing the baby in a crib, Minato donned his battle gear. I'm sorry, Naruto, you deserve better than this, but I must save your mother. Meanwhile, outside Konoha Kushina's anguished screams filled the night as the masked man bound her with chakra chains, tearing the nine tails from her body. The great fox materialized in the physical world, its presence suffocating. Now, Kyuubi, let's cause some destruction. Sharingan. The beast's eyes turned red, enslaved under a genjutsu before both vanished in a vortex. Minato arrived moments too late but quickly seized the masked man and the beast, transporting them back toward the safe house. He laid Kushina beside Naruto, her arms trembling as she held him. Her strength was fading. The removal of her biju had sealed her fate. I'll return, please, hold on, Minato said before vanishing once more. Konoha village, the quiet of the night shattered as the nine tails erupted into the village, annihilating everything in its path. Lord Third, the Kyuubi is attacking, casualties among shinobi and civilians are climbing. A shinobi reported to Hiruzen Sarutobi, now in his battle armor. I know. Gather all chunin and higher ranks, drive it out before more die, Hiruzen commanded. His thoughts briefly turned to Minato. How did it escape, and where is he? Forest outside Konoha, Minato clashed with the masked man who claimed to be Madara Uchiha. Judging by his abilities, Minato couldn't dismiss the claim entirely. Their battle raged until Minato, exploiting perfect timing, teleported behind his opponent and drove a Rasengan into his back, breaking his control over the nine tails. The masked man retreated instantly. Back in Konoha, even without the genjutsu, the nine tails rampage left devastation in its wake. Hiruzen managed to force the beast to the village gates using his adamantine staff, but the fox retaliated with a tailed beast bomb. In another golden flash, Minato appeared, teleporting the attack far away. He summoned a massive toad to pin the beast, then whisked it and himself to a secluded area. Deep in the forest, I'm sorry, Kushina, but this is the only way, Minato said quietly, beginning the sealing preparations. If word spreads that Konoha lost the nine tails, the other villages will see weakness. Another war will begin. I'll seal half into myself, taking it with me to the Shinigami, and place the other half into Naruto. That way, his body can adapt as he grows. Kushina's voice was filled with sorrow. I understand, but condemning him to this life, I know too well what that means, and we won't be here to help him. She tightened her chakra chains, restraining the raging fox as Minato readied the Fuinjutsu. The yin portion of the nine tails was bound within Minato, and as the sealing process progressed, the Kyuubi finally grasped the full scope of the couple's intentions. Realization struck it like a thunderclap. They intend to place the rest of me inside their newborn. The beast's crimson eyes narrowed. That child carries an intriguing power, and Kushina, despite being my jailer, was one of the rare few who ever showed me even the slightest respect. But still, I will not return to a cage. Not again. I'm sorry, little one, and to you as well, Kushina. With a sudden, violent surge of motion, the Kyuubi lunged, aiming to tear the infant apart before the sealing could be completed. But Minato and Kushina reacted instantly, throwing themselves in front of the monstrous claw. It pierced through both their chests in a single brutal strike, blood splattering the ground beneath them. Breathing heavily, aware that death was imminent, they turned to their child. Kushina's voice trembled, but her gaze was soft. Naruto, this isn't how we wanted things to end, but we know you more than anyone can survive this. The moment you were born, we could feel it, you're special. It breaks my heart knowing we won't be there to see you grow into the person you're meant to be. Promise me you'll be kind, make friends, and live a life worth cherishing. We love you always and forever. Minato added, his words firm yet tender. Your mother is right. You are destined for great things. Even if we're gone, we will watch over you. With their last reserves of strength, Minato performed the final steps of the sealing ritual, binding the remainder of the nine tails into Naruto. Kushina's life faded moments later, and Minato's was slipping away just as quickly. It was then the third Hokage arrived, taking in the devastating scene before him. Minato, Hiruzen's voice cracked. Lord Third, Minato rasped, please take care of our son, he's the new Jinchuriki. You have my word, Hiruzen promised solemnly. Seconds later, the fourth Hokage passed on. Moving quickly, Hiruzen approached the crying child. The ANBU with him faltered. They could feel something radiating from the boy, an overwhelming wave of malice and oppressive intent. His eyes, a shade of unnatural, luminous blue, seemed to hold a depth and power that unsettled even hardened shinobi. Assuming this was a byproduct of the Nine-Tails' influence, Hiruzen wrapped the infant in a blanket and carried him toward the village, already considering how they would weather the storm to come. Naruto's mindscape, the Kyuubi, stirred in confusion. Where am I? After a few moments, it realized the truth. It had been sealed away again. Frustration burned within it. But then, faintly, it sensed another presence inside the boy, a second wellspring of power, ancient and unfamiliar. Konoha, 7 years later, a lone boy, wandered aimlessly through the streets. His clothes were ragged, and a small, worn backpack hung loosely from his shoulders. Standing at about 4'7", with messy pale blonde hair and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek, he walked with his hands shielding his eyes. This habit unnerved the townsfolk. Many civilians whispered that he hid his gaze to spare them the sight of his so-called demon eyes, which filled them with fear and hatred. In truth, his eyes were breathtaking, brilliant and powerful, surpassing even the famed Sharingan and Byakugan. Had they belonged to anyone else, the village might have adored them. But these eyes belonged to Naruto Uzumaki, the demon brat. On this day, Naruto's birthday, the villagers saw not a boy, but the symbol of their loss. To them, he was the reason loved ones had perished and the Hokage had died. Recently, the orphanage had expelled him, accusing him of eavesdropping on lessons after he had simply asked to join so he could learn to write. The matron had claimed it was for the safety of the other children. Flashback, Konoha Orphanage. A loud crack echoed as the matron's hand struck Naruto, sending him stumbling back. You little monster, how dare you spy on innocent children? I wasn't, I stayed in my room like you said, Naruto pleaded desperately. Don't lie to me, you wouldn't know what we were doing unless you'd been snooping, she accused, her voice dripping venom as she struck him again. Nearby children whispered among themselves. Why's Naruto always trouble? One muttered. They call him a demon for a reason. Don't you feel it too? Like something warning you to stay away or he'll hurt you? Another replied. Naruto, trying to hide his eyes, was reminded yet again that even when covered, he could see everything, miles away, with unnerving clarity. That included the smirks of children enjoying his suffering. Overwhelmed by the humiliation and pain, he cried out. Suddenly, the matron's arm twisted unnaturally, bones shattering and flesh tearing. Blood poured as she stared in disbelief before agony took hold, forcing a scream from her lips. Naruto, horrified, saw it all in slow motion. You devil, get out and never come back, she shrieked. I didn't mean to, please, Naruto tried to help, but the woman scrambled away in terror. Leave, she screamed again, and the other children cowered in the corner, sobbing for the demon to go. Naruto's tears blurred his vision as he gathered his meager belongings and walked out, unsure of where to go next. End of flashback. Now wandering the village streets, Naruto still kept his hands over his eyes, though it made no difference. He could see every hateful glare aimed his way. Isn't that the demon brat? A woman hissed. I think so, a man muttered darkly. Walking around like he owns the place, especially today of all days. We've let that thing live free for too long, another spat. Naruto noticed the growing group behind him. Their pace quickened as his did, until he was running, the mob close on his heels. They chased him into an alley and surrounded him, faces twisted with malice. Why do you all hate me? Done nothing, Naruto shouted, his voice cracking. Don't act dumb, you know what you did to this village, someone growled. Yeah, and words spreading about what you did to that poor woman at the orphanage, another accused. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, their anger feeding on itself. To them, he was no boy, he was the Nine-Tails. They closed in, forcing him back against the wall. Hokage Tower Hiruzen Sarutobi sat at his desk, exhaustion weighing on him. When Minato died, he had intended to hold the position only until a worthy successor appeared. Years later, none had. His gaze drifted to the portraits of past Hokage, lingering on Minato's. Minato, I've failed you, he thought bitterly, reflecting on the life Naruto had been forced to endure. Flashback Konoha Council Chamber, 7 years ago, we must kill it, Lord Third. a civilian council member bellowed. The fourth gave his life and sacrificed his sons to protect this village. I will not dishonor that, Hiruzen replied firmly. How do we know it wasn't his wish to kill the beast while it's weak? If the boy's life is going to be miserable, better to end it now, the man argued. In an instant, Hiruzen's killing intent filled the room. The man collapsed, foaming at the mouth. Anyone else who suggests such a thing will share his fate. Understood, Hiruzen growled. The room fell silent, heads nodding quickly. From the shadows, Danzo Shimura spoke, his tone laced with mockery. Losing your composure over a civilian, not very becoming of a Hokage. Watch your mouth, Danzo. He's still the Hokage, Himura Mitokado warned. I'm only speaking truth, Danzo replied. Koharu Udatane cut in sharply. Enough, we have more important matters. I agree, Danzo said smoothly. Shikaku Nara's lazy voice followed. So what happens to the boy? Danzo leaned forward. Give him to me. I can mold him into a proper weapon for the village. Absolutely not. I know your methods, Hiruzen shot back. Hayashi Hyuga, his voice cool and detached, added, while I understand your reluctance, a Jinchuriki must master his emotions. Danzo's way may be harsh, but it ensures control and obedience. Inoichi Yamanaka, whose clan had long mastered the arts of probing minds and unraveling the workings of human thought, spoke with grave caution. If pushed too far, the child could reach his breaking point, unleashing the Kyuubi and rendering the fourth Hokage's sacrifice meaningless. Fugaku Uchiha, the leader of the Sharingan-wielding clan, folded his arms and replied evenly. My kin and I can watch over him. Should he lose control, our Sharingan can pacify him before harm is done. Danzo, eyes narrowing suspiciously, snapped back. And what assurance do we have that you wouldn't simply bend the beast to your will, making it your personal weapon and seizing power over the village? How dare you insult me with such accusations? Fugaku barked, his voice sharp as steel. The council chamber quickly devolved into a heated argument, voices clashing over the boy's fate. Finally, Hiruzen's patience wore thin. Enough! His voice thundered through the room, laced with chakra to cut through the chaos. The air fell silent. None of you nor I can take the boy in. Allowing any single clan to raise him would unbalance the village's power structure. Therefore, here is my decision. The child will be placed in the orphanage. He will remain there until either an open-minded family sympathetic to his situation takes him in, with our support in his development, or until he becomes a capable shinobi able to stand on his own. A civilian councilwoman rose in outrage. Lord Third, you can't mean to put that thing among innocent children. You'd be placing the killer of so many parents right beside their sons and daughters. The Hokage's eyes hardened. That thing has a name. Use it unless you wish to lose your tongue. His killing intent rolled out in a wave, making the woman pale and fall silent. With tension hanging heavy, the council begrudgingly agreed. Naruto would go to the orphanage. Any further questions? Hiruzen asked. Hayashi Hyuga stepped forward. Yes, Hokage-sama, the boy's eyes, they are unusual. Their coloration resembles a Dijutsu, yet there's no chakra flow or pathways leading to them. Still, when I examined him with my Byakugan, I noticed internal strain, particularly in his retinas and brain. Fugaku frowned with interest. What exactly do you mean? It appeared his eyes were processing far too much information, similar to the strain experienced by the Hyuga or Uchiha when overusing a Dijutsu. But this is impossible. He has no bloodline limit, and at his age his chakra coils shouldn't even be active enough to cause such an effect. Hiruzen exhaled tiredly. Yes, I've been informed of these peculiarities. My head medic believes it is no inherited ability, but rather a genetic anomaly, granting heightened perception, perhaps even photographic memory, but nothing beyond that. The matter was left there. If there is nothing else, focus your efforts on the village's reconstruction. This meeting is adjourned. Back in the present, Hiruzen often asked himself if he should have been far harsher with the council, perhaps even threatening them outright. Not long after Naruto's third birthday, word of his status as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki somehow spread. Adults who remembered the night of the attack turned bloodthirsty. The Hokage despised the ignorance of the civilians, and even some shinobi, who should have understood the principles of Fuinjutsu. Their hatred toward the child, who had already lost the most that day, was unforgivable. Whenever Hiruzen visited the orphanage, The sight of Naruto's hollow gaze and frail frame made his heart sink. He had dismissed multiple matrons, even arrested one, for cruelty toward the boy. Yet replacements proved no better. Worse still, there was something else, an unsettling, oppressive sensation he felt from Naruto. It wasn't the Kyuubi. His best sensory nin confirmed there was no demonic influence. And while Naruto's chakra reserves were extraordinary for his age, there was nothing abnormal about their flow. No, this was different. It was like standing near molten lava. You could sense the unbearable heat, but you couldn't truly understand it unless you were submerged, which no one survived. His thoughts were broken when an ANBU knelt before him, clearly alarmed. Lord Third. Naruto has been expelled from the orphanage. The matron was severely injured before his departure. She claims he attacked her. What? Hiruzen roared, fury flaring. That's not all, the ANBU continued. A group of civilians spotted him soon after. A mob has formed and is chasing him. We can only assume their intentions. Damn it, assemble a team. Protect Naruto and bring every last one of those fools to justice. I've been lenient for too long. With Naruto, the mob closed in. A man struck first, driving a punch into Naruto's gut. The boy collapsed, retching. Others joined in, 6 men stomping and kicking him while nearly 24 bystanders watched with twisted satisfaction. Inside, something in Naruto began to crack. Please stop, I don't want to hurt you. Yeah, show that demon what it's like to be trampled. Someone jeered. I didn't mean to hurt her, I was just scared. Ha ha ha. How do you like it, you little piece of trash? One of the attackers sneered. If you just left me alone, I'd be good. Why me? What did I do? Hand me that bottle, another man barked. He smashed it, leaving jagged edges. I'll make sure you remember this, demon. You'll carry these scars forever, just like you gave us. Something snapped. I hate you. Naruto's scream erupted, and with it came an indescribable, crushing presence that paralyzed everyone. The bottle-wielding man's limbs suddenly twisted grotesquely, bones shattered, joints bent at impossible angles. Blood sprayed across the cobblestones as he collapsed, shrieking. What the hell? GODS, NOOOO. His arms and legs resembled mangled straw, useless and deformed beyond recognition. The mob froze, horror-struck by both the unseen force and the carnage it left. Naruto's mind reeled. It happened again. Is this why they hate me? Why they call me a demon? He knew chakra could sense his own and others, but this wasn't it. This power had nothing to do with the Kyuubi. He felt it all his life. A second energy, not chakra, vast and coldly his own. It was as if the emotions of anger, fear, and pain fed it, and compared to everyone else's meager drops, he was an ocean. We knew it. He is a demon, a woman screamed, snapping him out of his thoughts. In that moment, ANBU operatives and the Hokage himself appeared, surrounding the 30 or so participants. Arrest them all, Hiruzen commanded, his voice like a blade. While the ANBU began binding the stunned villagers, Hiruzen's eyes fell on Naruto, standing amidst the scene, looking utterly lost. His gaze flicked to the ruined body at Naruto's feet. No chakra usage, none at all. Just what are you, Naruto? He approached slowly. I'm sorry, my boy, I wish I'd arrived sooner. Naruto didn't seem to hear him. I didn't mean to, please don't die, I didn't mean to, he whispered again and again. The Hokage exhaled heavily, took the boy's hand, and led him toward the tower, both weighed down by the events that had just unfolded. Take them all to Ibiki and Inoichi, the Hokage ordered with a tone that brooked no argument. Make absolutely certain that not a single whisper of what happened tonight escapes these walls. I don't care what methods you use, just ensure silence. With the command given, the Hokage turned and walked away from the scene, a weary yet determined expression on his face, a vacant-eyed Naruto quietly following in his shadow. Hokage Tower, come in, Naruto. Sit down, you can stay here with me for the night, the Hokage said, his voice softening. Are you hungry? But Naruto didn't answer that. Instead, he stared at the floor, his voice low yet trembling. Am I really a demon? The question struck Hiruzen like a kunai to the heart. His eyes widened in shock before his expression turned somber. Of course not, Naruto. Never let those words take root in your mind. Then why? Naruto's voice cracked, emotion flooding his words. Why do they hate me? Why can I see and do things no one else can? Why is it so easy for me to hurt people? Who am I? Who were my parents? Were they some kind of monsters who dumped me here? His voice rose into a shout, his small fists clenched and tears streaming down his cheeks. Never say that again, boy, Hiruzen snapped, his voice uncharacteristically sharp. Your parents were extraordinary people, heroes, who gave everything to protect this village. Then tell me, Naruto demanded, his eyes red and wild. If you know who they are, I have a right to know. The old man sighed heavily, removing his Hokage hat and reaching for his pipe, taking a slow breath to steady his thoughts. You're right, Naruto, you do have that right. But there are things I cannot tell you, not yet. Naruto's mouth opened to argue, but Hiruzen raised a hand. I cannot reveal your father's identity. However, I will tell you about your mother, though I do so against my better judgment. Naruto froze, his attention instantly fixed on the old man. First, you must promise me, Hiruzen said, leaning forward, that nothing I tell you leaves this office. Naruto nodded without hesitation. Your mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki, Hiruzen began, pulling out a worn photograph. She was one of my most trusted shinobi, a member of the Uzumaki clan, a people famous for their mastery of sealing techniques. Naruto's eyes widened as he gazed at the photo. She's beautiful. Yes, Hiruzen agreed with a faint smile tinged by sadness. She was also the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails before you. Naruto's head snapped up, confusion all over his face. What I mean, the Hokage explained, is that she bore the burden of housing the beast before it came to be sealed within you. Naruto's voice trembled. How did she die? I don't know every detail, Hiruzen admitted. But the Nine Tails broke free and attacked the village. It was driven back, and in the end, the fourth Hokage and your mother sealed it inside you, choosing to sacrifice their lives to protect the people. Understand this, Naruto. Both your mother and the fourth believed in you. They trusted you to one day master this power. Naruto lowered his gaze, the weight of the truth sinking in. So that's why they hate me. They don't see me, they see the Nine Tails. Yes, Hiruzen said quietly. Their grief blinds them to the truth. Naruto wiped his face, his voice steadying. I can't promise I'll forgive them, but I'll prove I'm not the Nine Tails. I'll get stronger and protect this village instead of hurting it. A proud smile crossed Hiruzen's face. That's a very mature resolve, Naruto. Then his eyes narrowed slightly. But tell me, what was that ability you used tonight in the alley and at the orphanage? Naruto hesitated. I don't really understand it. I can do strange things without using chakra. I can see things, like the flow of something bad, negative energy, maybe. I can also see incredibly far away and unbelievably small. I think I can see down to atoms. Even now, I can see the people who attacked me being taken to a building, marked torture and interrogation. Hiruzen's eyes widened. The description was eerily close to the Byakugan's capabilities, yet Naruto spoke of perceiving something beyond chakra. That's not all, Naruto continued, a hint of guilt in his voice. I can pull things toward me, even alter gravity around me. I think that's how I hurt them. My eyes, they take in so much information, so fast that learning comes easy. Once a caretaker threw a science book at me just to get me to leave. I read the whole thing in an hour, and I understood everything in it, even the complicated stuff the older kids couldn't grasp. Hiruzen leaned back, both impressed and concerned. You possess abilities unlike anything I've seen. We'll learn about them together, you have my word. Thanks, old man, Naruto said softly. But why can you tell me about my mother but not my father? Your father had powerful enemies. If word of your connection to him spread, they might come after you. I only told you of your mother because her heritage might connect to your abilities. Seeing Naruto's crestfallen look, Hiruzen added, When you're strong enough, your godfather will tell you about your father. Naruto blinked. Godfather, where is he? Why hasn't he visited me? He's a spy master, Naruto often away from the village. He'll likely be gone a few more years, but when he returns, I'll arrange a meeting. They spoke for a while longer until Hiruzen finally stood. Let's get you some rest. Tomorrow, I'll see to it that you have your own place. I know it's not ideal for someone your age, but now you understand why you've been treated the way you have. Naruto nodded, his eyes firm with determination. I'll show them I'm no demon. I'll become a shinobi they can't help but respect. Together, they left the office. Somewhere in the land of grass 7 years earlier, the world had shifted, though no one realized it. Naruto's birth had altered the balance of existence, and nature itself had begun correcting the disturbance. Cursed energy swelled across the land, condensing into a concentrated swirl that erupted from the earth, shaping itself into a form. It stood tall, skin pale as bone, black markings trailing across its body, eyes like gnarled branches. "Who am I?" it murmured. Curses were not meant to recall their past lives, but this one did. Memories surged into place, and its expression twisted with rage. "Satoru Gojo," it hissed. Konoha, 1 year later winter gripped the village when Naruto began his first year at the ninja academy. News of his enrollment spread quickly, sparking outrage among many villagers who felt the demon should never be trained as a shinobi. Rumors circulated about strange abilities capable of crushing opponents without a touch. The torture and interrogation division made sure such whispers never became more than rumors, but fear was enough to isolate him further. Parents warned their children to avoid him, and most obeyed. "Stay away from that boy," one mother said firmly to her child. "Yes, Mom," the child answered obediently. Only the children of shinobi clans refrained from openly insulting him, though even they kept their distance, except for a handful who treated him civilly. "Look, it's Goggle Eyes," one student jeered as Naruto walked in. The green goggles with black-tinted lenses concealed his sight, easing the constant strain on his overactive vision. They limited his view to only a few kilometers, dulling the overwhelming flood of detail. Flashback, 9 months earlier. "This will be your home from now on, Naruto," Hiruzen said, as they stepped into a small but well-kept one-bedroom apartment. A compact kitchen connected to a modest living area, a dining table, couch, and television, leading to a bedroom with its own bathroom. "It's perfect, old man," Naruto grinned. "Better than freezing in a storage closet." Hiruzen's face tightened with guilt. "I'm sorry you endured that. It's behind you now. I'll give you a monthly allowance for food and expenses. And here, these might help with your eyes." He handed Naruto the black-tinted goggles. "Thanks, Gigi. Come on, I'll show you where to buy groceries. Afterward, we'll discuss your abilities and how to train them." End of flashback. Naruto had grown used to the jabs and taunts, ignoring them outwardly. But inside, he remembered everything. And one day, that bottled-up frustration would explode, not with violence, but with the most elaborate, chaotic pranks Konoha had ever seen. His class was remarkable, filled with heirs of clans like the Nara, Yamanaka, Inuzuka, Hyuga, Aburame, Akimichi, and Uchiha. While most treated him with indifference, a few, like members of the Hyuga, Inuzuka, Akimichi, and Nara families, offered genuine friendliness. Even Uruka, his instructor, had thawed toward him over time. And then there was Sasuke Uchiha, cold, distant, but a fellow orphan with a rare gift. Naruto felt a connection to him, even if unspoken. Sasuke's tragedy, the massacre of his entire clan by his own brother, was second only to the Nine-Tails' attack in the village's collective grief. Naruto had tried to attend the Uchiha funeral, but the villagers' hostility made it painfully clear. Even in mourning, they would not welcome him. As the final bell rang, the day's lessons came to an end, and the classroom emptied with a mix of chatter and footsteps. Children either hurried toward their homes or lingered in small groups to play. Naruto, as always, noticed the familiar sight, parents shooting him wary glances or outright glaring as they collected their own kids. Though still young and deeply hurt by this treatment, he had begun to grow numb to it. The sting remained, but he told himself over and over that one day he would prove to them he wasn't the monster they thought he was. Walking down the dirt road toward his small apartment, Naruto's mind wandered to the practical problem of dinner. He needed to find groceries that weren't half-rotten or priced like gold. As he moved past a side street, the sound of someone crying caught his attention. "Ha! Look, Monster Eyes is crying," one boy jeered. He and two other kids stood in a loose half-circle, surrounding a small girl. She couldn't have been taller than 4.5 feet, with short black hair framing her pale face, her pure white, pupil-less eyes marking her heritage. Naruto recognized her immediately, Hinata Hyuga, the current heir of the Hyuga clan, second only in prestige to the Uchiha. "Please, I just want to go home," Hinata stammered, her voice trembling with fear. "Oh, why don't you act all high and mighty? Tell us we're beneath you, just like your stuck-up cousin Neji," one of the boys mocked. I don't believe that. I think everyone's equal," she whispered so softly it was barely audible. What's that? Speak up. Man, are you sure you're even a Hyuga? Maybe all you got from them is those creepy eyes, without any of the skill to back them up, another bully sneered. Their taunts continued until the sound of approaching footsteps made them pause. Naruto stepped into view, hands in his pockets, and smirked. Wow, 3 big, tough guys against 1 girl, you must be so proud of yourselves. Hey, who do you think you are? One boy shouted. Wait, isn't he that kid our parents warned us about? Another muttered. Yeah, I heard my mom call him a demon once, the third added. They bickered quietly among themselves, until Naruto's bored voice cut in. Look, I don't care what your deal with her is, just beat it, losers. Who are you calling losers? They yelled in unison. Naruto exaggeratedly stuck his fingers in his ears. You're so loud. And annoying. He's just some troublemaker, he can't take all of us, one scoffed. And no, it's fine, really. Just go, Hinata pleaded, not wanting to see him get hurt. She remembered him from class and didn't want the bully's attention to shift entirely to him. Nope, Naruto said flatly, his tone firm. I'm sick of people picking on those weaker than them. The bullies exchanged a look, then charged at him, unaware that Naruto, while nowhere near a trained shinobi's level, knew more than a few tricks. Thanks to advice and training from the Hokage, he could hold his own. Flashback, 6 months earlier in just 1 month, Naruto had devoured over 100 books the Hokage had lent him. Living alone at such a young age made learning essential. The books covered everything: basic cooking, hygiene, and now even introductory chakra control and beginner taijutsu. His ability to absorb information was uncanny. His strange eyes and sharp mind made memorizing and understanding concepts almost effortless. While practicing basic katas one afternoon, he heard a knock at his door. Naruto's first instinct was caution. Ever since some villagers had discovered where he lived, vandalism had become common. But when his special vision confirmed who stood outside, he relaxed. He opened the door with a grin. Hey, old man. Ah, Naruto, how's my boy doing? Are you managing the new material? Don't be afraid to ask for help, some of this is tough even for Genin, the Hokage said warmly. It's easy. I just read it once and it sticks, Naruto replied with confidence, and maybe a bit of arrogance. He was starting to notice he picked things up faster than most, and part of him liked feeling above others. The Hokage recognized this growing superiority complex and worried about where it might lead. Your abilities are impressive, Hiruzen admitted. But remember, if you want to be a shinobi, you protect the village and its people, not just yourself. Naruto muttered under his breath, What's the village ever done for me? The Hokage sighed. I know many here have wronged you. I'm not asking you to protect them out of love, at least not yet. Do it for those you care about, me, the ramen shop owners, a few kind classmates. Show the rest why they're wrong, Naruto. Conquer hate with compassion. That is the will of fire, Naruto shrugged. Fine, maybe someday, I'll try for the few who deserve it. Good enough, Hiruzen said. Now about your abilities, they're unique, not chakra-based, yet dangerous. If word got out, other villages might come for you, not just to kill, but to experiment on you, even use you for breeding. Naruto smirked bitterly. Oh no, shocking that a village that beats kids and sends people to kill could do something like that. Exactly. Keep this between us until you can defend yourself. Also, your mother's clan, the Uzumaki, might hold answers. And here, this is a Fuinjutsu manual. I think you'll excel at it. Naruto accepted the book with a nod. Thanks, old man, I'll check it out. Now, the Hokage said with curiosity, tell me about how you use this cursed energy. Naruto's eyes lit up. It's easy, I just move it where I need it. Makes me stronger, faster, I even knocked over a whole tree by focusing it into my fist. The Hokage rubbed his chin. Show me. They headed for the roof. End of flashback. Back in the present, Naruto dodged the bully's swings with ease, slipping past blows that should have landed in his blind spots. It was almost as if he had eyes on every side of his head. Hit him already, one boy yelled in frustration. Naruto laughed. Wow, no wonder you needed 3 of you. You're pathetic and you think you'll be shinobi someday. He decided to end it there. 3 quick jabs sent each bully stumbling back, yelping in pain before running off in tears. You okay, Hinata? Naruto asked, glancing at her. Why yes, thank you, she murmured, her face pink from a mix of shyness and awe. Don't mention it. Guys like that are always the same, big talk, no bite, Naruto said casually. It's late. Want me to walk you home? I'd like that, thank you, Naruto. With her voice barely above a whisper, Hinata fell into step beside him, her cheeks flushed crimson. As they walked toward the Hyuga compound, she kept her eyes low, her nervousness plain. Growing up in her clan had taught her to view people through a lens of status, yet she had never shared the village's scorn for Naruto. She'd always admired the way he endured the cold stares and whispers, holding on to his smile and relentless spirit. He was also one of the rare people who didn't belittle her for her timid personality, something her clan saw as a weakness. Others, even without knowing her well, pitied her for it. But Naruto treated her differently. Their journey continued in near silence. Naruto wasn't used to talking with kids his own age, especially not girls, and Hinata, for her part, was even worse off, her heart hammering so loudly she was sure he could hear it. They were only halfway to the Hyuga estate when a voice rang out sharply, "Lady Hinata." A man in Hyuga robes, Ko, appeared from the street ahead, clearly having searched for her. "Lady Hinata, where have you been? I've been looking everywhere." His gaze fell on Naruto, and his expression darkened. "And just what have you been doing with Lady Hinata? I know you're, never mind. Regardless, she shouldn't be seen with someone like you. She's the heir of the Hyuga clan and must maintain her image." Oddly enough, Naruto didn't feel outright hated by the man, just looked down on. It was irritating, but it could have been worse. Before Naruto could open his mouth, Hinata quickly spoke up. "Ko Enno, Naruto didn't do anything wrong. He helped me when some bullies were picking on me, and he was walking me home." Her voice wavered, but her conviction was clear. "Yeah," Naruto added, raising his hands in defense. "What she said, I was just walking her home." Ko's tone remained cold. "If that's true, then I thank you for helping her. But my warning still stands, keep your distance from her." Naruto's brows furrowed. "Now hold on, jerk, I don't know who you think, get down." He lunged toward Ko, but before either could react, an unseen force slammed Ko hard against the wall. Both Naruto and Hinata turned toward the source and froze. Before them floated a grotesque, mangled figure. All four limbs were twisted as if crushed, and its face was locked in an expression of eternal suffering. Its eyes, if they could still be called that, locked onto Naruto, and in a warped, rasping voice, it bellowed, "You wu deed Theus." 1 week earlier, the alley where Naruto had been attacked a year ago had become an unspoken taboo. Even those ignorant of the incident avoided it, feeling an unnatural chill just being nearby. They had no idea that something malicious had begun to fester there. When Naruto had struck down a man that night, a surge of his unrestrained, cursed energy had lingered. He hadn't meant to kill his attacker, and that tiny shred of unwillingness, combined with the energy left behind, had birthed something dreadful, a revenant. The vengeful spirit of the man now roamed with one purpose: destroy the one who ended him. Present time, Naruto stared at the apparition, his mind racing. The energy radiating from it felt wrong, familiar. Understanding clicked, this was the man from that night, or at least a monstrous echo of him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, please, you have to believe me." Naruto's voice was shaken with genuine regret. The Revenant's distorted reply was the same. "You deed Theus." Without any trace of its former self, it lashed out, spectral arms whipping toward him. Instinctively, Naruto channeled cursed energy into his body, his fear propelling him into motion faster than he'd ever moved before, so fast he was a blur. "NN Naruto. What is that?" Hinata cried, terror gripping her. "I don't know," he shot back, just as afraid. Ko groaned, slowly pushing himself upright after the blow. "What trick did you just pull, brat?" Naruto and Hinata both turned, baffled. "Me? Are you blind? That thing is attacking us." Ko's Byakugan activated, scanning the area. He couldn't see cursed energy like Naruto, but he detected distortions in the air, in human shapes. Realizing the danger, he moved to shield the children. "Take Lady Hinata and run. I'll hold it off." "No. I'm not leaving you here," Hinata protested desperately. "It's my duty to protect you, my lady." His words were cut short as the spirit unleashed a barrage of spectral limbs, striking him down before he could react. Naruto's stomach dropped at how easily the man was incapacitated. Without thinking, he scooped Hinata into his arms and bolted, his cursed energy fueling every step. They didn't stop until they reached the cover of a training ground forest. "I think we lost it," Naruto panted, still on edge. We have to go back for Ko, Hinata insisted. We will, but Naruto froze mid-sentence. His skin prickled. The revenant had already found them. Uu did Theus, it shrieked, sending a storm of spectral arms and legs their way. Hinata stumbled and collapsed in fear. Naruto's body locked up, his mind spiraling. This can't be it. I was just starting to think about the future. I wanted to learn so much. Not now, not like this. His hands clenched. And now Hinata and even Ko are caught up in this mess because of me. No, stop, he shouted, and to everyone's astonishment, the spirit's attack froze midair. Everything around them, leaves, insects, even the wind, hung motionless. Hinata's eyes widened. What's happening? And Naruto? Naruto realized he was the cause. An invisible barrier of his cursed energy had halted everything in its path. A slow grin spread across his face. Hinata, I think I just figured something out. In a flash, he surged forward, closing the distance to the revenant. Fear radiated from its twisted form as Naruto unleashed a relentless flurry of cursed energy-charged strikes. Uu did Theus, it groaned with every blow. Yeah, I know, you bastard. And I'm sorry, but let this be a warning to anyone stupid enough to mess with me, Naruto roared. His 6 eyes focused, and in a sudden burst of clarity, he shouted, Black Flash! His final strike obliterated the revenant, leaving a crater in the earth. Naruto's mindscape, a deep chuckle echoed. Oh, now you've really caught my interest, boy. The Kyuubi's smirk was wide and hungry. Back in reality, Black Flash, a technique so rare that no sorcerer could execute it at will, had just been unleashed by an 8-year-old. Naruto's 6 eyes gave him an edge most could only dream of. He'd always known he was strong, but this was something else entirely. Shaking the thought off, he turned to Hinata, only to freeze again. She was staring at him with an expression he'd never seen directed at him before. Not fear, not hatred, but awe and something like reverence. Sorry for dragging you into this, Hinata, he said quietly. She blinked, snapping out of her daze. DD, don't worry about it. Thank you for saving me. Before Naruto could reply, 3 figures dropped from the trees, Hayashi Hyuga, Ko, and the Hokage himself. Hayashi rushed to his daughter. Hinata, are you hurt? Ko told me what happened. I am fine, father, thanks to Naruto, she said firmly. Hayashi's sharp eyes turned to the boy. When Ko first reported this, I nearly struck him for lying. I would have come for you myself, until the Hokage, who'd been watching you for reasons unknown, warned me something was wrong. Even my Byakugan could barely comprehend what I saw, but you destroyed a creature that took down a seasoned Chunin. His gaze lingered, intense. I'll be watching you, boy. But out of respect for the Hokage, and gratitude for saving my daughter, what happened today will remain between us. With that, Hayashi guided Hinata away, Ko following close behind. As they prepared to part ways, Hinata's voice trembled as she stammered. Thank you, and Naruto. I'll see you soon. Her shy gratitude brought a warm, almost unnoticeable smile to both Naruto and Hiruzen. A few steps later, they were alone. Naruto broke the silence with a smirk. So, old man, you get your kicks spying on kids, huh? Hiruzen's brows twitched at the remark, and with an embarrassed scowl, he swatted Naruto on the head. Ouch, do that again, you wrinkled fossil. Naruto snapped back, rubbing the sore spot. Hiruzen made another move to smack him, but his hand froze mid-swing, stopped just short of connecting. The Hokage blinked in surprise. Well, now, fascinating. Is this another trick of yours? Yup. Guess all that reading from those science books paid off. I figured out how to use my cursed energy to manipulate the space around me, splitting it endlessly so anything aimed at me never actually lands. In math terms, 0. Hiruzen let out an impressed hum. You really are unique, my boy. He ruffled Naruto's hair while glancing toward the massive crater nearby. And that hole in the ground? Naruto shrugged. Honestly, no clue, probably just got caught up in the moment. Well, Hiruzen said, his tone softening, it's late. How about some ramen? We can talk more about this, and I'll also help you adjust to using chakra. I don't want you relying only on that cursed energy of yours. I've already told Hayashi and Ko, but keep today's events between us, and perhaps Hinata, since she's now involved. Naruto's ears perked. Yeah, sure, wait, you said ramen, he said, eyes lighting up. What am I going to do with you? Hiruzen muttered, shaking his head with a chuckle. Konoha 2 years later. 2 years had passed since Naruto's run-in with the vengeful spirit, and as promised to the Hokage, he had been working to understand chakra and refine his control over it. To his irritation, molding chakra proved far more stubborn than cursed energy. He'd only made steady progress in taijutsu and fuinjutsu, reaching an intermediate level in the latter, but ninjutsu control remained his biggest roadblock. His struggles spilled into the academy as well. Without showing his cursed energy in class, he couldn't silence those who called him the dead last. Whispers spread through the village, and the news that the demon was weak delighted many. In class one day, Uruka stood before the group. "Come on, Naruto, the clone jutsu is basic. You don't have much time before your final year and graduation." Naruto gave it another attempt and failed yet again. "I don't even know why Uruka-sensei wastes time on him," one student whispered from the back. "He's hopeless." They didn't notice the quiet glare from a certain Hyuga girl. If only you knew what he could really do, Hinata thought, irritation stirring beneath her calm expression. Over the years, Hinata's gratitude toward Naruto had grown into something stronger, almost an obsession. He had saved her life, and in her eyes, he was the only one who truly deserved her loyalty. She had become his one genuine friend, helping him in his struggle to master chakra. Flashback: a year and a half ago, Hinata had been following Naruto for some time after he saved her from that strange monster. Her tailing wasn't subtle, especially to someone with Naruto's awareness. Over time, he'd grown attuned to her cursed energy signature, noticing it was stronger than the average person's, though nowhere near that of the spirit they'd fought before. Finally, Naruto's patience ran out. Using cursed energy, he slipped behind her in a blink. "Mind telling me why you're shadowing me?" Hinata nearly jumped out of her skin. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to thank you again, and I noticed you're always alone, so I thought maybe you could use someone to talk to," she rambled nervously. All right, I get it," Naruto said flatly. "If you want to talk, just come up and say so. Most people who stalk me don't have good intentions, so forgive me for being suspicious." I really just want to thank you," she said timidly, "and offer to help if you ever need anything." Naruto raised a brow. "And what exactly could you give me?" "Not much, except someone to talk to. I don't know why people treat you the way they do, but it's wrong. If being seen with me causes trouble, we can always meet in secret." He gave her a puzzled look, then a faint smile. "Well, thanks, I guess." Her cheeks warmed, but she pressed on. "I noticed you're struggling with chakra control. In the Hyuga clan, we're trained from childhood to mold chakra perfectly. It's key to our taijutsu and byakugan. Maybe I can teach you some of what I know." Naruto thought about it. "If I adapt their techniques for cursed energy, maybe I can discover new applications." "Naruto?" Hinata asked, snapping him from his thoughts. "Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, that would help a lot. I can use my other power just fine, but chakra feels like something inside me is fighting for control." "Then we'll figure it out together," she said warmly. Naruto allowed himself a small, reluctant smile. "Thanks, Hinata." "Back to the present, damn it," Naruto roared, punching a tree so hard it splintered under a surge of cursed energy. "Why is chakra so damn hard to control? I'm supposed to prove I'm not some monster. I'm supposed to be the best." "Remember what you told me. You'd keep your ego in check," came Hinata's calm voice as she stepped into view. Naruto exhaled sharply. "Sorry, it's just cursed energy is easy. I can invent new techniques on the spot. But chakra, it's like trying to tame something wild inside me." "I think it's more than that," Hinata replied. "Yes, you have huge reserves, which make fine control harder, but you should still be able to manage a basic clone jutsu. Maybe you should talk to the Hokage. He might know what's going on." "Yeah, maybe you're right. Thanks, Hinata." "Always, Naruto," she said sincerely. They chatted briefly about her progress with her clan. She admitted her stutter had mostly vanished, though she still hesitated to go all out in sparring. Naruto encouraged her, reminding her how far she'd come since they met. Her cheeks flushed at the praise. Thank you, Naruto. I should go before my father and Ko start looking for me." "See you later." "See ya, Hinata," Naruto called back, before heading toward the Hokage Tower. Hokage's office Hiruzen was in a heated battle with his greatest foe, paperwork. He was seriously considering setting it ablaze when a knock sounded. "Come in," he said wearily, perking up as Naruto entered. "Ah, my boy, what brings you here? I need your advice, old man." It's about my chakra problem. The Hokage's eyes narrowed with interest. Go on. No matter what I try, my control is a mess. Hinata and I thought it might be my massive reserves making small jutsu harder, but she said that shouldn't make them impossible. She thinks something else is interfering. And you? Hiruzen asked. Naruto's gaze hardened. I've felt this other chakra inside me since I was little. Now I know it's the Kyuubi. Could it be disrupting my chakra flow? Hiruzen leaned back slightly, his expression thoughtful. That's entirely possible, Naruto. The seal the fourth placed on you was designed so that the Nine-Tails chakra could merge with your own. However, his eyes narrowed. I believe it may also provide the Kyuubi with a pathway to interfere with your chakra flow. Naruto's hands clenched into fists. Fantastic, so that damn fox is messing with me just because it feels like it, he muttered through gritted teeth. It's a possibility, Hiruzen admitted calmly. When your godfather eventually returns, I'll have him examine the seal personally. He's the last living master of sealing arts in this village. Naruto scowled. I'm not sitting around waiting for that, old man. You're the one who told me to limit using my cursed energy in public so people wouldn't panic. If I can't use the one thing that proves my worth to these idiots, then how am I supposed to show them what I can do? Easy there, Naruto, Hiruzen said, raising a hand. I never told you to stop trying. I merely suggested having your godfather inspect your seal. In the meantime, I can offer two possible approaches. First, focus on Fuinjutsu. As long as you inscribe the correct formulae and kanji, without overwhelming the seal with chakra, you can rely on your cursed energy to bolster your body and enhance your speed without anyone noticing. Precision will matter more than raw chakra control. Naruto tilted his head. And the second option is actually the same in part, Hiruzen admitted, his tone heavy. Continue honing your Fuinjutsu skills. Your lineage gives you a natural advantage, and you've already shown promising talent. But the more dangerous suggestion is, he paused, swallowing hard, to make direct contact with the Kyuubi. Silence fell between them, heavy and tense. For several long seconds, neither moved. Finally, Naruto broke it. I'll do it. I've got a few things I need to set straight with that fox anyway. Hiruzen's eyes widened. Naruto, wait. Do you even realize what you're proposing? We're talking about the same Nine-Tails that almost wiped this village off the map. Are you truly ready for that? Naruto smirked faintly. Old man, if I only had my chakra, I'd be torn apart. But with cursed energy, if things got ugly, I think I could handle it. Confidence is good, Naruto, Hiruzen warned, but overconfidence can get you killed. Strength is more than just how hard you can hit. We don't even know if your cursed energy will function properly inside your own mind. Still, he exhaled, resigning himself. If you truly wish to make contact, and only contact with the Kyuubi, I'll stand by your decision. You should understand its power if you plan to control it. Thanks, old man. Any idea how to actually start talking to it? That's uncertain, Hiruzen admitted, but since it's sealed inside you, meditation would be the best place to begin. Got it. I'll give it a try and let you know what happens. With that, Naruto bolted out of the office, eager to prepare. Hiruzen murmured to the empty room, Please be careful, Naruto. Naruto's apartment, the dim glow of candles flickered across the walls, casting long shadows as incense smoke curled lazily in the air. Naruto sat within a carefully drawn circle, the wax light reflecting in his determined eyes. Tonight, he would step into his mindscape and confront the Nine-Tails head-on. Partner or not, the fox needed to understand that cooperation was the only option. Settling into a lotus position, Naruto closed his eyes. At first, distractions tugged at his mind, but slowly his focus sharpened. His breathing steadied, and the world faded away as he slipped into the depths of his consciousness. Naruto's mindscape, when Naruto opened his eyes again, the world around him was gone. In its place stretched an infinite, dark void. There was no ground beneath his feet, only the sensation of floating through endless space. He drifted forward, the silence pressing in, until something massive came into view, a colossal gate, towering like the wall of a fortress at the very edge of this abyss. As he neared, a clawed hand suddenly lashed out from behind the bars, stopping inches from his face. Naruto didn't flinch. Well, my jailer finally decides to visit, the Kyuubi rumbled, its teeth flashing in a predatory grin. That's right, Naruto said evenly. I'm not here to play intimidation games. If you could have killed me, you would have already tried. And even if you did, I'd make damn sure you didn't get the chance. He narrowed his eyes. Tell me, are you the one disrupting my chakra? If you want me to stay out of your business, fine. I don't need your chakra to fight. I've got my own power, and I'll get by just fine without you. The Kyuubi chuckled darkly. Ha, I've only met one human with arrogance to match yours. He was a shinobi who carved his name into legend, someone I'll forever despise. And you're just a brat. Still, yes. At first, I meddled out of spite. But as you kept catching my interest, I decided I'd keep at it, just to see if you'd come knocking at my gate. Naruto's eyebrow arched. Well, I'm here now, what is it you want? That energy of yours, the fox's eyes glimmered. It's unlike anything I've encountered. It's familiar, yet alien, born of hatred and negative emotion, much like my own power. In a strange way, I feel a kinship with you. Naruto smirked. The mighty Ninetales feels a connection with me, I'm flattered. Watch your tongue, boy, the Kyuubi growled. All right, Naruto said lightly. If that's all, I'll leave you be. You don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. I didn't say that, the fox interrupted. You're far too interesting to ignore. Here's my offer, loosen the seal. Not enough to free me, but enough so I can share your senses and speak to you directly. In return, I'll stop sabotaging your chakra. You can even shut me out whenever you like. Naruto considered it. Fine, but if you try anything, I'll show you exactly what cursed energy can do. A suffocating wave of killing intent and chakra filled the air, forcing sweat to bead on Naruto's forehead. Don't test me, child. I have no reason to deceive you, but if you refuse, I'll make molding chakra nearly impossible for you. Naruto's grin sharpened. Funny, I could say the same to you. He unleashed his cursed energy, flooding the mindscape with his presence. Without realizing it, he had asserted complete control over this inner realm, something that made the Kyuubi's grin widen. Ha, I like you, kid. Keep this up, and maybe I'll tell you my name. You've almost earned my respect. Thanks, Furball, but if you're so reasonable, then explain why you attacked the village and ruined my life. I'll answer if you earn more of that respect, the fox replied simply. Naruto shrugged. Fair enough. For now, let's just work together. A rare, mutual grin passed between them, an uneasy alliance formed. Land of grass far from Konoha, a cursed spirit wandered aimlessly across open terrain. Hanami had come to understand that this world was not the same as the one it perished in at the hands of Satoru Gojo. Though still a creature of nature and calamity, something new pulsed within it, a power rooted in a fear unique to the humans of this land. It had recently slaughtered and consumed the population of a secluded village, noting that these humans treated nature differently than the ones from its old world. Still, Hanami was certain their greed would eventually bring ruin here as well. Continuing its trek, it encountered a tall, imposing man, bronze-skinned, long dark hair flowing, green eyes rimmed with crimson sclera. Well, look what we have here, the man said flatly. One ugly bastard. I'm sure someone would pay handsomely to dissect you, especially after all the havoc you've caused lately. Hanami tilted its head. You can see me, human. Of course. I'm just surprised a monstrosity like you can talk, the man replied, unimpressed. It's irrelevant. Humans are all the same, and all of you deserve eradication. Without further words, they clashed. The battle was a brutal stalemate. Every lethal blow Hanami delivered was shrugged off by the man, while every devastating jutsu the man unleashed barely scratched the spirit. Neither combatant could land a decisive strike, their fight tearing the surrounding land apart. Hanami's anticipation grew with each clash, a rush of exhilaration swelling inside as it relished facing such a formidable opponent. In the midst of this rising thrill, the spirit uncovered something profound, an ability it had not possessed until its arrival in this realm. This was a force so dreadful that even the man before it would fear it. With grim satisfaction, the spirit declared, "Chakra-fueled cursed technique, great forest." From its arm, thick wooden tendrils erupted, twisting and lashing toward its adversary. The man evaded the attack with speed, avoiding any direct physical injury, yet the mere sight of that technique delivered an unshakable mental blow. No way. This isn't possible. Forget the money. If that thing holds even half the strength of that man, I'm finished, Kakuzu thought in terror. Without hesitation, he vanished from sight in a blur of speed, consumed by the horror of encountering the very Kekkei Genkai that had shattered his life years ago. Humans, no matter the world, they always cower, Hanami mused, watching him retreat with fear-stricken urgency. What the cursed spirit didn't yet realize was that it had evolved, no longer a mere manifestation of humanity's dread toward natural disasters. It now embodied an additional terror, the fear of a man whose power rivaled the destruction of nature itself. That man was Hashirama Senju, and the dreaded ability was his legendary wood style, a Kekkei Genkai witnessed by few and survived by fewer. Determined to grow stronger, the spirit withdrew from the battleground, intent on gaining the power necessary to counter the one man who could derail its ambitions. I don't know why you're here, Satoru Gojo, but I can sense you. Soon, I'll acquire enough strength to face you, and erase humanity's plague from existence. 2 years had slipped by since Naruto's conversation with the Kyuubi. Now, in his final year at the academy, graduation loomed on the horizon for all aspiring shinobi. Recently, Naruto had been training in chakra control with Hinata, and both were thrilled at his remarkable improvement. While his control still didn't rival his mastery of cursed energy, considering his vast chakra reserves and young age, Hinata's guidance had pushed him well above the average. Today, Naruto was working on water walking, having already conquered tree climbing thanks to Hinata's help. I think I've got it, he began, only to plunge straight into the pond, resurfacing soaked from head to toe. Hinata laughed softly at the sight. Oh, so you find this funny? Naruto asked, glaring in mock offense. Sorry, but it was pretty funny, she said, trying to catch her breath between laughs. Naruto pouted. I still don't get why you keep telling me not to use my limitless when I fall. If I just activated it, I wouldn't end up drenched like this, or land flat on my back like I did during the tree exercise. Hinata's expression shifted to something more serious. Because struggling and even failing are part of learning. My own training taught me that, sometimes the hard way. If you rely on your limitless to escape every setback, you'll never truly master anything. And there could be a time when limitless won't save you. Naruto gave a reluctant nod. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Of course it does. You may be unmatched in your unique abilities, but when it comes to chakra control, who better to teach you than me? She said proudly. Naruto smiled at her growth. She was no longer the timid, stammering girl she once was. She had become someone confident. Even her father acknowledged it. Flashback, 6 months earlier, a knock at Naruto's door broke his focus. When he opened it, he found someone unexpected. You're Hinata's dad, right? Naruto asked bluntly. The man frowned at the lack of formality but kept his composure. Yes, however, you will address me as Hayashi-sama. I am here to speak about your relationship with my daughter. Naruto's eyes widened slightly. I don't know what you're talking about, he lied. Don't treat me like a fool, boy. I'm aware you and my daughter have been spending time together. I came to thank you. That caught Naruto off guard. Thank me for what? My daughter's recent progress, both in skill and confidence, has been remarkable. While she still has much to achieve, I know your influence has helped her open up to others and participate more actively in training. Naruto shrugged. She always had it in her. You people are just too strict. She needs someone to encourage her, not tear her down. Hayashi-sama, the clan head corrected firmly, though he conceded, you're not entirely wrong. I'll allow your friendship to continue, provided she keeps improving. But your position in the village is delicate. Keep your distance in public. If my clan or the villagers take issue, I'll be forced to sever contact, at least until your standing improves. Fine, Hayashi-sama, Naruto said with a hint of sarcasm before retreating back inside. Back to present, Naruto didn't care much about Hayashi's approval, but it was nice to have another person in the village who didn't outright hate him, especially Hinata's father, a man of influence. Hey, Hinata, he said, you helped me master chakra control. How about I teach you how to use cursed energy? Hinata froze. Me, but I thought only you could use that. And even if I could, where would we even start? Relax. Everyone has cursed energy, it's just that only a few people have enough to actually use it. You're one of them. She hesitated. I can sense it a little, but what I have to feel in order to use it, I'm not sure I like it. I'm not forcing you, but think of it as my way of repaying you for all the help you've given me. Hinata smiled. I'll think about it. Anyway, are you ready for the finals next week? I hope we end up on the same team. I hope so too, but I doubt it. I was behind before, and even though I've improved, the Hawkage told me to hold back because of my situation. If the villagers found out my true strength, there'd be chaos. Her expression fell slightly. Oh, I see. Naruto grinned to cheer her up. Don't worry, Haim. Once we're Chunin, we'll have more chances to team up, and we can still hang out outside missions. That lifted her spirits. Yeah, you're right. But how did you get so good at chakra control, anyway? Naruto stiffened. The truth was tied to the very reason most of the village shunned him. After a long pause, Hinata spoke nervously. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. No, you deserve to know, he interrupted. I'm the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. The fourth Hawkage didn't kill it. He sealed it inside me before I was born. For a long time, it interfered with my chakra just to speak to me. But we came to an understanding, and now it lets me use my chakra freely. If you hate me after this, I'll understand. He braced for rejection, but instead, Hinata wrapped her arms around him. You're ridiculous if you think that would make me hate you. You're no demon, Naruto, you're too much of a goof for that. Hey, he said in mock protest. And you're kind, thoughtful, nothing evil could be that way. In fact, I respect you more now. You're the hero of this village, whether they admit it or not. Naruto's eyes welled up. For the first time, someone fully accepted him after hearing the truth. Thank you, Haim, he whispered. 1 week later, graduation day had arrived. Naruto and Hinata had trained hard, determined to pass. For Naruto, this was his chance to prove he was not the weak demon they believed him to be. Sabotage from most teachers, Uruka being the exception, had long kept him from showing his abilities. But now, with Uruka as an examiner, he finally had a fair shot. Walking into the exam hall alongside Hinata, Naruto felt dozens of eyes turn toward them, the weight of their stares only fueling his resolve. Hey, Hina, what are you doing hanging around with that dead-last loser? Came the sharp voice of a slender girl with short pink hair, dressed in a red blouse. This was Sakura Haruno, known for her outspoken attitude and quick temper. Sakura, Hinata replied coldly, her eyes narrowing in a way that made her tone all the more dangerous. If you don't want me to hurt you, I'd suggest you stop insulting my friend. Your friend, Sakura said, completely baffled. Hinata, I don't know what kind of lie he fed you to make you hang around him, but if you want, I can beat him up so you don't have to pretend anymore. Her disbelief was genuine. After all, in her mind, nobody would willingly spend time with Naruto. Sakura's parents had been shinobi, so she was aware of the concept of a Jinchuriki. They had never outright told her to despise Naruto, only to be careful around him. At first, she had treated him civilly, which led Naruto to develop a crush on her. But Sakura had always been someone who followed the crowd. Once she saw how others treated him, she began to do the same, especially after the time Naruto asked her to hang out. Not wanting to be seen as too friendly with him, she had publicly ridiculed him in front of the class. That incident shattered his feelings for her almost instantly. And now, though he didn't quite realize it yet, his heart had started beating for someone else, someone who had never rejected him. You're seriously annoying, Naruto muttered, lifting his head. For the first time in years, he wasn't wearing his trademark goggles. The sudden change made the entire classroom go silent. No one had ever seen his eyes before. On top of that, his clothes were different too, an all-black shirt paired with orange pants, much like the outfit he wore in the last movie. A group of girls gasped in unison. Oh my god, he's hot, several blurted out, while the rest simply stared, stunned. Hinata's expression darkened, her jaw clenching as she muttered under her breath, fake pieces of trash. Naruto almost jumped at the language. Hinata had never spoken like that before. He could tell she was annoyed by the shallow admiration, but her reaction seemed unusually intense. Over time, he had noticed her growing confidence, along with a sharper, more assertive edge. When she was angry and activated her Byakugan, her presence became intimidating, her chakra flaring as suppressed emotions seeped out. It was a side of her she didn't even realize she had, but Naruto did. He silently vowed to help her control that power someday. Forget them, Hinata. Let's just grab our seats, he said, his calm tone helping her relax as they moved to the back of the room together. Not long after, Kiba and Yuzuka approached, his ever-present white puppy Akamaru perched on his head. Dressed in his gray coat, Kiba smirked. Nice try with the new look, Naruto, but you're not fooling anyone. You're an okay guy, sure, and people give you grief for no reason. But don't drag Hinata down with you, she should be with a real alpha like me. Hinata's eyes hardened. Kiba, I've told you before, I'm flattered, but it's crossing into harassment. And just like I told Sakura, insult him again and see what happens. She activated her Byakugan mid-sentence, making Kiba swallow nervously before backing off. Whatever, he grumbled, retreating to his seat, his pride stung. What a drag, Shikamaru Nara muttered from his desk, not even glancing up from his lazy slouch. And can you not chew right in my ear? He added, looking at Choji Akimichi. My bad, Choji said through a mouthful of chips, continuing to snack. Shino Aburame silently observed from his corner. So, Naruto's not wearing his goggles anymore. Shame. I actually liked them, he thought, realizing he was now the only one with tinted eyewear. Ino Yamanaka, meanwhile, blinked in surprise. Wow, Naruto's actually good-looking. But her loyalty to the Sasuke fan club quickly kicked in, and she stepped away from the murmuring girls starting to form a new Naruto fan group. Yeah, who does he think he is? Like he could ever be on Sasuke's level, some fangirls shouted. Sasuke Uchiha, the last of his clan, gave a barely audible "Chen" without looking away from the window. His indifference only made the fangirls squeal louder, to the annoyance of everyone else, including Sasuke himself. The noise died down when Uruka walked in. All right, that's enough chatter. Everyone to your seats, we're starting the written portion of the exam, he instructed. Once seated, Uruka and Mizuki began handing out test papers. Mizuki made a point to approach Naruto's desk personally, but Uruka stepped in with a firm, I've got his paper, Mizuki, giving the man a pointed glare. Mizuki's scowl didn't go unnoticed by Naruto, who could sense his malicious intent through the faint trace of cursed energy. He shot Uruka a grateful look. Naruto breezed through the exam, confident in his answers thanks to the studying he had done. Hinata seemed equally assured of her performance. Next came the physical portion. Both Naruto and Hinata dominated nearly every event, their years of training showing. This irritated several students and Mizuki immensely. When did they get so good? One student asked. They've got to be cheating, another accused. Back in the classroom, Uruka announced the final stage. Now you'll demonstrate basic ninjutsu and genjutsu, the substitution jutsu, transformation jutsu, and clone jutsu. You'll be called in alphabetical order. One by one, students went in. When Hinata's turn came, Naruto encouraged her. You got this, Hinata. She returned with a proud smile and a newly awarded headband. Naruto hugged her tightly, making her blush furiously. Naruto Uzumaki, you're up, Uruka called next. Let's get this over with, Naruto said, stepping into the exam room. Ready? Uruka asked, smiling, while Mizuki offered a false grin. As I'll ever be, Naruto replied. He aced the transformation jutsu, choosing to turn into the fourth Hokage. He felt a strange connection to the man, beyond just being the one who sealed the Nine Tails into him, and had long suspected there was more to that link. Next, he performed the substitution jutsu, switching places with Mizuki's chair just to watch him fall. Naruto, Uruka sighed. Good work, but show respect to your superiors. For the clone jutsu, Naruto unleashed a room full of perfect copies, far more than necessary. Mizuki tried to argue it wasn't the same as the standard version, but Uruka shut him down, awarding Naruto a pass. Holding his headband tightly, Naruto walked back into the room, ignoring classmates who muttered that he must have gotten a pity pass. Only Hinata's smile mattered. I'm proud of you, Naruto, she said. Thanks, Haim, this is just the beginning. After Uruka dismissed the class for a 1-month break, Naruto and Hinata left together until she spotted her father waiting. She waved goodbye, heading off to celebrate with her clan. From nearby, a woman whispered venomously to another parent, they let that become a shinobi? What's the Hokage thinking? Giving it the means to get stronger. Just wait, it'll finish what the fourth started, the other replied darkly. Naruto's hands tightened into fists, his knuckles whitening from the pressure, but before he could speak, Mizuki stepped closer with a smirk. Forget about them, Naruto, Mizuki said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. His cursed energy, faint yet unmistakably malicious, rolled off him like a bad stench. Naruto eyed him warily, waiting for whatever scheme the man was about to pitch. You want to prove them all wrong? then pull off something no other shinobi could even dream of. I've got a special exam for you, one that would instantly promote you to Chunin, Mizuki proposed. Even without sensing the cursed energy, Naruto could tell the man was lying through his teeth. Still, he decided to play along. Oh, I'm listening, pal. Go ahead, lay it on me, Naruto said with deliberate sarcasm. Mizuki, too dense to notice the mockery, leaned in and continued. All you need to do is sneak into the Hawkage Tower, retrieve the scroll of seals, and bring it to me. If you can handle classified intel like that, you've got what it takes to be Chunin. Naruto almost broke into laughter at the sheer stupidity of the so-called test, but instead he plastered on a sly smile. No problem, sensei, consider it done. Hours later, Hawkage Tower, so you're telling me we have a traitor in our midst? Hiruzen Sarutobi asked, his brow furrowed as Naruto explained the situation. Yeah, old man. I might joke a lot, but this isn't one of those times, Naruto replied seriously. Hiruzen nodded, impressed. You've done a great service to the village. I'll reward you with the pay of a B-rank mission. Now, go rest, we'll take care of the rest. Actually, I've got a favor to ask, Naruto said. The Hawkage gestured for him to continue. Mizuki's been one of my worst tormentors at the academy. I want to be the one to bring him down, and instead of the B-rank payment, let me steal the scroll, give it to him as bait, and while I'm at it, maybe pick up a jutsu or two from it while waiting for him to show. Hiruzen hesitated. I'll still give you C-rank pay, but remember, those techniques are forbidden for a reason. Don't worry, Gramps, I'll keep it in check, Naruto reassured him. Fine, the Hawkage said at last. But I'll have ANBU tail you after the staged theft. Now, the scroll is in my possession. Let's get this started. Konoha Forest Naruto unrolled the scroll of seals, scanning through its contents. Thanks to his intelligence and 6 eyes, he had already memorized several techniques in minutes, far more than he planned. At present, only the shadow clone and its variations were usable to him, but the others were locked away in his mind for future training. The jutsu now etched into his memory included: Shadow Clone Jutsu creates tangible clones by evenly distributing chakra among them. Warning, requires large chakra reserves. Hand seals. Ram right arrow serpent right arrow tiger, followed by both index and middle fingers extended, touching and parallel. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu, same principle as the Shadow Clone, but for weapons and objects. Note: shares the same chakra requirements. Hand seals: ox, dog right arrow dragon, rat, dog right arrow boar, snake right arrow tiger. 4-symbol seal / 8 trigram sealing method, seals dangerous entities into a host or object. Requires advanced Fuinjutsu mastery. 8 gates technique, unlocks the body's natural limiters at great physical cost. Opening the 8th gate results in certain death. Naruto planned to copy them down later as an additional safeguard. Before long, rustling leaves announced Uruka's arrival. Naruto, what have you done? Uruka exclaimed, shock and dread in his voice. Yo, sensei, Naruto greeted casually. Do you have any idea how serious this is? Uruka pressed. Yeah, I'm stopping a traitor, Naruto replied, leaving Uruka confused. Before Uruka could respond, Naruto blurred forward, shoving him aside as a hail of shuriken tore through the spot they had just stood in. Good job, Naruto, now hand over the scroll, you fool, Mizuki barked. Mizuki, what's the meaning of this? Uruka demanded. Save it, Uruka. You've always irritated me with your holier-than-thou attitude, Mizuki sneered before turning to Naruto. And you, do you know why everyone in this village despises you? No, Mizuki, don't, Uruka shouted. 12 years ago, the monster that killed countless people, including Uruka's parents, was sealed inside you. You are the 9-tailed demon fox, Mizuki declared, hoping to stun Naruto. But instead, Naruto laughed. Seriously, you think I didn't know? I live with the furball, of course I figured it out. His stomach growled, as if to punctuate the insult, earning a disgruntled rumble from the Kyuubi inside him. Mizuki froze, thrown off by the reaction. Whatever, Orochimaru will pay me well for the scroll. Now die, he hurled a massive shuriken. Naruto move, Uruka cried. Naruto didn't budge. The shuriken stopped midair, suspended inches from his face. Wow, Mizuki, did you rehearse that? You look like an actor who forgot his lines, Naruto mocked. What kind of genjutsu is this? Mizuki demanded, pumping chakra to break free. It's no genjutsu, it's all me. And no, it's not from the Kyuubi, Naruto explained coolly. My abilities keep him in check. That's impossible. A freak like you couldn't have a Kekkei Genkai, Mizuki shouted. Maybe, though mine doesn't even use chakra, Naruto thought, deciding to keep most of his abilities secret for now. Out loud, he said, "All right, traitor. Let's end this." Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Hundreds of Narutos materialized, circling Mizuki. In another world, achoo, Yuji Itadori sneezed. Not the time to get sick, we've got Sukuna to deal with, Hiromi Higuruma said. Yeah, I hope Gojo-sensei's soul is at peace, Yuji murmured. Back in the Naruto world, prepare yourself, a chorus of Narutos growled. Mizuki's bravado shattered. He screamed as the clones swarmed him, leaving him bloodied and broken. When it was over, Naruto walked over to Uruka. You okay, sensei? Uruka nodded slowly. You could have been top of the class if you'd shown this before. A ninja never shows all his cards, Naruto replied, silently noting that sorcerers played by different rules when it came to cursed energy. Also, don't tell anyone about this. Only a few people know, and now I'm trusting you too. You have my word, Uruka said. Now, how about ramen after ANBU takes Mizuki away? My treat to celebrate you becoming a shinobi. All you had to say was ramen, Naruto grinned. Hokage Tower, well, what's your take? Hiruzen asked, watching the crystal ball. As expected of Sensei's son. He's something else, said Kakashi Hadake, his spiky silver hair defying gravity, his mask concealing his mouth, and his headband covering his left eye. Indeed, Hiruzen replied with a slow nod, acknowledging the statement. If you still want me to serve as a Jonin instructor, I have one request. I want both him and Sasuke Uchiha assigned to my squad. I swore to myself I'd never let Naruto face hardships alone again after what happened to him a few years back. I owe that much to my sensei's memory. As for Sasuke, I believe I'm the most suited to help him master his Dijutsu, along with other personal reasons, explained Kakashi, his tone calm yet resolute as he made his case to the Hokage. I'll see what can be arranged, Kakashi, but I can't make any promises, Hiruzen answered after a moment's thought. Kakashi regarded him in silence for a few seconds before his visible eye curved into his usual lazy smile. That's all I ask. Just let me know your decision as soon as you can, Lord Third. With that, he turned and exited the Hokage's office. Given your past, Kakashi, perhaps you are the most fitting choice for those two, Hiruzen mused privately, already turning his mind to the task of assembling teams for the fresh generation about to take their first steps as shinobi. A month slipped by since the graduation exam, and now the newly minted genin were to gather at the academy for their team assignments. Naruto awoke early, dressing with a determined look. Today was the start of his true journey, the day he would begin carving his name into history. This is it, today they'll see I deserve their respect, he muttered, his ego fueled not only by his incredible abilities but also by the few people, like the third Hokage and Hinata, who believed in him. He walked into the academy, his trademark goggles gone, replaced by a forehead protector, positioned slightly askew so the plate sat toward the right side of his head. Entering his old classroom, he spotted Hinata waving from her seat and responded with a grin before taking the spot beside her. Hi, Naruto. Are you excited? I know you think it's unlikely, but I really hope we end up on the same team, Hinata said, her voice filled with quiet hope. Hess, like I told you, don't get your hopes too high. Still, I wouldn't mind, Naruto replied, equally hopeful beneath his casual tone. The room gradually filled. Some, like Shikamaru, Shino, and Sasuke, strolled in with calm indifference, while others kept to themselves. A few cast sharp looks at Naruto, clearly hoping fate didn't tie them to his team. Among them was Kiba, though his glare was different, competitive, almost predatory, born from his need to always feel like the alpha. Worse still, Kiba's pride had been wounded by Naruto outperforming him on the final day of the academy, and though he wouldn't admit it, by Hinata's clear interest in Naruto over him. And then there were the loud ones, members of Sasuke's personal fan club. Sakura and Ino's voices could be heard from the far end of the hall, already bickering about who would get the privilege of sitting next to Sasuke. When the girls finally entered, Sasuke made a point of pulling the chairs beside him out of reach, which only deepened their frustration. Naruto, sitting back with his feet on his desk, noticed Kiba approaching thanks to his enhanced perception. What do you want, Kiba? Naruto asked flatly before the boy could speak. That irritated Kiba instantly. Who do you think you are? You act like a fool through all of the academy, then suddenly, on the last day, you're a natural and score higher than me, he growled, struggling to mask his bruised pride. Don't care about your hurt feelings. Go pester someone else, Naruto shot back without even looking at him. Now listen, Kiba started, but Hinata's voice cut him off. Kiba, please. This isn't the time or place to argue about something so petty, she said firmly. Kiba glared at both Naruto and Sasuke before returning to his seat, clearly displeased. Uruka finally entered, his voice carrying over the chatter. Congratulations, graduates. Today marks the beginning of your careers as shinobi. You'll be forming bonds that could last a lifetime and start shaping your own place in history. The room grew attentive. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto muttered a curse under his breath, mirrored by Sakura, though hers instantly turned to squeals when she realized she'd be alongside Sasuke. Hinata's expression dimmed with disappointment. Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Ha, guess I win after all, Naruto, Kiba shouted triumphantly. Naruto rolled his eyes behind his protector while Hinata gave Kiba a rare glare. Forget him, Hinata. We can still train and hang out outside of missions. Once we're Chunin, we'll probably get the chance to work together, Naruto said, trying to lift her spirits. Uruka moved on. Team 10, Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Ino Yamanaka. Ino groaned loudly, slamming her head against her desk at the thought of not being with Sasuke. With the teams finalized, Uruka concluded, Your Jonin instructors will be here shortly to collect you. Remember, I'm always available if you need me. The first Jonin to enter was a tall, tan-skinned man with spiky hair, a beard, and a cigarette, Asuma Sarutobi. Team 10, you're with me. Let's go, he said simply. Next came a slender woman with long black hair, crimson eyes, and mesh armor beneath a unique wrap-like outer layer, Kurenai Yuhai, Konoha's genjutsu specialist. Team 8, you're with me, she told her squad. I'll see you later, Naruto, Hinata said quietly as she left with her team. That left Team 7 alone, waiting. And waiting. Over 2 hours later, even Sasuke's patience was thinning. Where the hell is our sensei? Sakura's inner voice screamed, though she held her frustration back. Finally, Naruto rose, walked to the door, and began placing a seal on it. Naruto, what are you doing? Sakura snapped. If our sensei's going to make us wait this long, I'll give him a little welcome surprise. And before you say it, no, it's not dangerous, Naruto replied smugly. Sakura scolded him, insisting someone like him couldn't make complex seals, and Sasuke echoed her disapproval. Naruto only sighed. It's harmless, just a dust cloud trigger. One of the first few ninjutsu lessons is modifying lethal seals into non-lethal ones. Moments later, the door opened, and a burst of dust engulfed a tall man with spiky silver hair. He looked at the 3 genin, his voice dry. Wonderful, one of you knows seals. Doesn't change the fact I already dislike you all. Meet me on the roof in 15 minutes. With that, he vanished in a body flicker. Naruto grinned. See you up there, he said before disappearing in a blur, no chakra detectable, just raw speed. Sasuke and Sakura were left staring before racing to catch up. Academy roof, Kakashi arrived in a swirl of leaves, pulling out his infamous orange book without a hint of shame. He hadn't expected any students yet, but Naruto was already leaning casually against the railing. Well, you're quick, and I didn't sense any chakra from that movement. Only 2 people I know can manage that, Kakashi observed, eyes narrowing slightly. What can I say? I'm just that good, Naruto replied with a confident smirk. Great, another ego to manage, Kakashi thought, noting the arrogance in Naruto's tone. Sasuke and Sakura soon joined them, each casting sharp glances at Naruto, Sakura out of irritation, Sasuke out of curiosity. All right, Kakashi said, breaking the tension, let's sit down and introduce ourselves. Who wants to start? Naruto tilted his head and asked casually, Introduce ourselves. We were literally in the same class, you know. Kakashi leaned lazily against the railing, voice slow and indifferent. I suppose you could tell us about your likes, dislikes, goals for the future, hobbies, whatever comes to mind. The 3 glanced at one another, silently daring someone to start first. Sakura eventually sighed and broke the silence. Why don't you go first, sensei? Show us how it's done. Fine, Kakashi replied without hesitation. My likes and dislikes, none of your concern, goals, haven't really decided, hobbies. Not going to share those either. Next. All three gave him matching blank, unimpressed stares at his evasive answers. Naruto finally smirked and shot back. At least I figured out you like hiding things behind that eye of yours, oh, and that you're a total perv. Read a few pages of that book when I got up here. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed just slightly. Prying into people's personal business is rude, he said evenly. How about you tell us about those special eyes of yours as an apology, since you can clearly read what I'm holding from this far away? Naruto flinched, his earlier cockiness faltering. He dropped the topic entirely, realizing Kakashi had already picked up on more than he wanted. Sasuke, curious, asked, "Special eyes, what's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," Kakashi said smoothly, brushing it off. "Just messing around." He made it clear with his tone that he didn't plan to elaborate unless Naruto pushed, and that would come with consequences. Sasuke decided to file that away in his mind for later. Kakashi then looked to Naruto. "All right, Blondie, you're up." Naruto grinned confidently. "Name's Uzumaki Naruto, as you already know. I like ramen, the people I care about, and learning new techniques. I can't stand judgmental or ignorant people. My goal is to become the strongest, so everyone has to respect me. My hobbies, practicing Fuinjutsu." "Noted," Kakashi replied, then turned to Sakura. "All right, Pinky, your turn." Sakura scowled at the nickname but pressed on. "Well, my name is Sakura Haruno. My likes are," she trailed off, giggling as she glanced at Sasuke with flushed cheeks. "And my goals are," her dreamy look made it obvious what she meant. "Oh, brother," all three boys thought in sync. Kakashi sighed. "And your dislikes?" "Easy, Naruto," she blurted. Yeah, I love you too," Naruto muttered with a bored yawn, making her glare. "All right, last one. Your turn, Captain Emo," Kakashi said, earning an annoyed look from Sasuke. There's not much I like. There's plenty I dislike. My goal isn't a dream, it's a reality I will make happen, to kill a certain man and restore my clan." Dreamy, Sakura thought, swooning internally. Kakashi thought grimly, this team's going to be challenging. Naruto's own thoughts were more blunt. We're gonna have to fix that attitude if we're working together. "All right," Kakashi said at last. "Now that we've got introductions out of the way, meet me at Training Ground 3 at 7 a.m. Tomorrow, we begin the real Genin test. Out of 27 graduates, only 9 will become true Genin, and that's up to each team's sensei." The three blinked in surprise. "One more thing, skip breakfast. You'll puke it up anyway," Kakashi added before vanishing in a body flicker. "That's dumb," Naruto said immediately. "If we throw up, we throw up, but going in without food is just counterproductive." "Idiot. Can't you just follow directions once?" Sakura snapped. "Do what you want," Naruto replied coolly, disappearing in a blur that left both Sakura and Sasuke startled. Sakura huffed. "He's so rude. Probably because he never had parents to teach him manners, right, Sasuke?" The comment made Sasuke's eyes harden. Her words hit a nerve. He also had no parents. "Sakura, you're the annoying one," he said coldly before walking away, leaving her stung and silent. Naruto's apartment. "What do you think, Furball? How do I make sure I pass this thing?" Naruto asked. The Kyuubi growled. "Call me that again and I'll rip your heart out. As for your question, use that cunning brain of yours and trust your instincts." Naruto frowned thoughtfully. "Should I really show my abilities? Kakashi already suspects something. Not sure about revealing them to the others." "They'll find out eventually if they're your teammates," the fox replied. "I'm not saying go all out, just enough to pass." "Fair enough. Thanks, Fleabag. Watch your mouth, brat. Then tell me your real name. Saying Kyuubi every time is annoying." "Not yet," the fox said, almost reluctant, though there was a hint of growing fondness for the boy. Training Ground 3 next morning, the sun had just risen when Sasuke and Sakura arrived. Naruto strolled in at exactly 7 o'clock, to Sakura's irritation. "Kakashi-sensei could show up any second. Why are you just arriving?" she scolded. "I was eating breakfast. I'm on time, so relax," Naruto said. "You ate. I thought maybe I was too harsh on you yesterday, but clearly I was right," she shouted. "Believe what you want," Naruto replied indifferently. "Oh, and Kakashi won't be here for a while. Saw him somewhere private earlier. Might as well eat or rest." With that, he leaned against a tree and closed his eyes. Confused but unwilling to believe him, Sasuke and Sakura waited. Hours later, their stomachs growled and their eyelids drooped, just as Kakashi finally appeared. "Sorry I'm late. Black Cat crossed my path, had to take the long way," Kakashi lied blatantly. "Cut the excuses and start already," they all said together. Look at that, already working in sync. "Maybe you'll pass," Kakashi said, glancing at Naruto. "So, you ignored my instructions and ate? You suggested not to eat, you didn't order it. It's smarter to have food in your system, even if you puke, than to pass out from hunger," Naruto replied. "Interesting. A critical thinker," Kakashi said approvingly, ignoring the glares from the other two. "For the test, I have 2 bells. You need to take one before sunset. There are 3 of you, which means one fails and goes back to the academy. Come at me with killing intent, that's your best chance. Now begin." Sakura and Sasuke instantly vanished into the trees. Naruto stayed put, studying Kakashi. "Not going to plan with your teammates?" Kakashi asked, turning a page in his book. "Just figuring you out first. Multi-shadow clone jutsu." Naruto sent a dozen solid clones rushing at him. "Solid clones?" Sasuke thought in shock. When did Naruto get so cool? Sakura wondered. Kakashi dispatched the clones without looking up from his book. Naruto then asked flatly, "You mean it about killing intent?" "Absolutely," Kakashi said. Naruto vanished in a blur, reappearing right beside him with a devastating strike that smashed the ground, leaving a crater. Only a quick substitution spared Kakashi from broken bones. "What the hell?" Sasuke shouted. "No way," Sakura whispered. "Well, I see I underestimated you," Kakashi admitted, tucking his book away. Naruto's eyes narrowed. "How much do you know? Did the old man tell you?" "I know enough, and I've been keeping an eye on you for a long time," Kakashi replied casually. "That's creepy," Naruto muttered. "Whatever. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu." Dozens of shuriken multiplied midair, surrounding Kakashi, who substituted again and slipped from Naruto's view entirely. Before Naruto could react, hands shot from the ground, dragging him down. "You're strong, very strong," Kakashi said calmly. "But you lack discipline, teamwork, and your ego will get you killed. Same as that duck-haired teammate of yours. If you all pass, I'll fix those flaws. Until then, keep trying." With a body flicker, he vanished, leaving Naruto gritting his teeth in frustration. Even with everything happening around him, Kakashi's earlier words stayed lodged in Naruto's sharp mind. "Wait, did he just say teamwork? And that he's fixing all of our weaknesses?" With Sasuke stood there, stunned yet irritated by the sight before him. What Naruto had just done didn't fit the image Sasuke had always held of him, not that he'd ever truly paid Naruto much mind, dismissing him as irrelevant. But now, Sasuke felt a burning need to reaffirm his own superiority. If he wanted to prove he was the strongest on the squad, there was only one way to do it: secure a bell. Locking eyes with Kakashi, Sasuke made his move. "Fire style, fireball jutsu," he declared, unleashing a huge wave of scorching flames toward their sensei. With practiced ease, Kakashi responded by raising a wall of earth, shielding himself from the attack. This group might actually turn out to be interesting," he mused internally. But before Sasuke could finish pressing his assault, Kakashi's headhunter jutsu dragged him into the ground up to his shoulders. "Tick-tock, tick-tock, 1 hour left," Kakashi announced with his signature closed-eye smile. "Use it wisely, make a plan, fix your mess, and try again." Without another word, he left them behind, moving to a different section of the training field. With Sakura's confidence took a serious hit after seeing both Naruto and Sasuke's earlier displays. As she considered what to do next, a reluctant voice called out to her. "Hey, Sakura, help me out," Naruto said, his tone begrudging as though his pride hated every syllable. She crossed her arms. "Why should I? I could just help Sasuke and grab the bells for the 2 of us." Her tone dripped with smugness. Shut up, Naruto snapped, the force behind his voice surprising her. "You can fawn over Sasuke later. Right now, I think I've figured out how we can all pass." Sakura blinked, startled by his sudden assertiveness and the faint pressure his words carried. Hesitant but curious, she moved over and helped pull him free. "That was part of the plan," Naruto said once on his feet. She frowned. "Plan? Think about it," Naruto explained. "When have you ever heard of a 3-man genin squad? This whole setup is meant to pit us against each other. No genin team could beat a jonin without working together. Sakura opened her mouth to argue, but then closed it. You might be right, she admitted. I know I am, Naruto replied. Honestly, I could take him if I figured out his moves, but that's not the point. I saw Sasuke get handled too, so we need him on board. That's the only way we all get the bells. Her brows furrowed. Wait, how did you see Sasuke from where you were? Naruto just smirked. Let's go get him. Back with Sasuke, I'm not buying it, Sasuke said flatly when Naruto pitched his idea. Why do you have to be such a pain? Actually, never mind, I know why, Naruto shot back. Look, just try my plan. If it fails, you and Sakura can keep the bells yourselves. Deal. Sasuke stared at him for a long moment. Fine. I follow Sasuke, Sakura added quickly. Naruto's grin spread wide. All right then, let's do this. With Kakashi, the morning sun was starting to rise higher when Kakashi decided the test was nearly over. That's when the rustle of leaves caught his attention, followed by dozens of Naruto clones bursting into the clearing. He cut down a few, but then noticed one clone wasn't like the others. It was Sasuke in disguise, who unleashed another massive fireball. Kakashi leapt out of the way, only for the real Naruto to drop from above, hurling a barrage of shadow shuriken. Substituting with a log once again, Kakashi prepared to counter, but Sakura, anticipating the move, sprang from the bushes and reached straight for the bells. Seeing the three working as a unit, Kakashi allowed her to take them, pleased by their teamwork. We did it, Sakura shouted, beaming. Chen, Sasuke muttered, with the faintest hint of a smile. Hell yeah, Naruto cheered, holding out his hands for high fives. When neither of them returned the gesture, he shrugged, smacked his own hands together, and grinned anyway. Well done, you three, Kakashi said. But here's the question, who's going back to the academy? None of us, Naruto replied confidently. That whole thing was a bluff to see if we'd work together. But even if I'm wrong, I said they could keep the bells if they followed my lead, and I keep my word. You sure that's the hill you want to die on? Kakashi tested. I don't back down, Naruto smirked. Kakashi's eye curved in approval. Then I guess I have no choice but to say you pass. You're officially Team 7. He motioned for them to follow. I want to show you something. They arrived at the hero's monument, its stone etched with names. Here rest those who gave their lives for the village, Kakashi said. That's why I tested you the way I did, to remind you that breaking the rules makes you scum, but abandoning your comrades makes you worse than scum. Naruto tilted his head. You were here before the test, sensei. Is someone you knew on here? Not cool, Naruto, Sakura scolded. Kakashi held up a hand. It's fine, you're my team now, you deserve to know. Yes, Rin Nohara, Abaido Uchiha. And my sensei, Minato Namikaze. You were close with an Uchiha, Sasuke asked. And the fourth Hokage was your teacher, Naruto added. Yes to both, Kakashi said, ending the topic. They didn't press further. Be here tomorrow at 9 sharp. Training and missions start then. With a puff of smoke, he was gone. Naruto sighed. Yeah, bet he's late again. Ramen, anyone? When both walked off without answering, he shrugged. More for me. Off he went toward Ikaraku, ready to celebrate their new team status. Border of the land of waves far away, Hanami roamed, seeking a cursed energy signature it recognized. The first cursed spirit above 2nd grade to appear in this world, Hanami had recently sensed the birth of another, one of special grade, and one it remembered fondly. On a lonely beach, as the form solidified, Hanami's voice softened. Dagon, it's really you, my friend. 3 months passed for Team 7, the days marked by one word, boring. I swear, if I have to chase that cat again, I'm skinning it, Naruto grumbled. What is its owner doing to make it run away every week? The others said nothing, but silently agreed. Sasuke saw the low-level missions as a waste, slowing his progress toward avenging his clan. Sakura disliked them because Sasuke disliked them. Kakashi, meanwhile, enjoyed the downtime, happily reading his little orange book. Over time, Sasuke had begrudgingly acknowledged Naruto's strength, but his pride wouldn't let him admit Naruto outclassed him. 1 month ago, flashback, fight me Naruto, Sasuke demanded. Naruto didn't even look up. Not interested. We just finished training and I want to study seals. I said fight me, Sasuke growled, reaching for Naruto's shoulder. To his shock, his hand stopped just shy of touching, as though blocked by an unseen force. Naruto pulled the headband from over his eyes, meeting Sasuke's gaze. The sheer presence behind his stare was enough to make Sasuke's pulse spike. "Two things," Naruto said evenly. "One, don't push me because it won't end well for you. Two, respect my boundaries, and I'll help you reach your goals." Sasuke clenched his jaw, then muttered, "Fine," before walking away. He hated to admit it, but Naruto's talent was undeniable. The Academy's treatment of him suddenly seemed less like neglect and more like intentional sabotage, for reasons Sasuke couldn't understand. And there was that other power within Naruto, oppressive, yet eerily familiar. Sasuke could feel a faint trace of it within himself, though nowhere near Naruto's level. It was impossible, and yet it felt as though they'd both known this energy far longer than their lifetimes. Sasuke resolved to uncover its truth, hoping it would give him another weapon against his brother. Present-day Team 7 walked into the Hawkage Tower to submit their latest mission report, finding Hiruzen muttering darkly about paperwork. "Old man, you're gonna give yourself wrinkles worrying like that," Naruto teased. "Naruto, show some respect," Iruka barked. Hiruzen waved it off with a chuckle. "It's all right, Iruka. He's been calling me that since he could walk." Sakura and Sasuke exchanged surprised glances, both silently questioning why Naruto seemed so comfortable standing so close to the Hawkage. Kakashi, however, paid them no mind. He was more interested in finishing the mission report than speculating on Naruto's behavior. Walking forward, he placed the required documents in the third Hawkage's hands. Well done, Team 7. Now regarding your next assignment, Before Hiruzen could finish his sentence, Naruto interjected sharply. "Hold up, old man. Before you start, I think it's time we take on something more challenging. I know I'm not the only one getting tired of running errands and doing chores." Iruka stepped in before the Hawkage could respond, his tone stern and disapproving. "Naruto, you and your team are strong, but you're still fresh genin. Higher-ranked missions mean real danger. Your lives would be on the line. You shouldn't rush into something like that." Hiruzen raised a hand to halt Iruka's lecture. Knowing firsthand just how capable Naruto was, he turned to Kakashi. "What's your opinion, Kakashi? Is your team ready for a step up?" Kakashi tilted his head in thought. "They're talented, no doubt. Teamwork isn't perfect yet, but it's improved enough that I think they can manage a C-rank mission." Nodding, Hiruzen addressed the young shinobi. "I already know Naruto's position. What about the rest of you? Do you feel ready for something more demanding?" Sasuke gave a confident nod, while Sakura hesitantly followed his lead despite her nerves. That was enough for Hiruzen to make his decision. "Very well, request approved. And as it happens, I have a mission in mind. Tazuna, you may enter." A moment later, the door opened to reveal a middle-aged man wearing glasses and a straw hat. His unsteady movements and flushed face made it obvious he'd been drinking. He gave the team a long, unimpressed look before speaking. "You're telling me these little runts, barely out of diapers, are supposed to protect me?" The insult hit a nerve. In an instant, Naruto blurred from his spot, reappearing behind the old man. A wave of oppressive energy and killing intent filled the air as he spoke in a cold voice. "Who are you calling a brat?" The color drained from Tazuna's face, his body freezing in fear. "Naruto, stop scaring the client," Kakashi sighed, sounding more tired than angry. "Oh, relax, sensei. I'm just messing with him," Naruto said with a grin, giving Tazuna a friendly pat on the back. You little lunatic," Tazuna stammered, still shaken. Kakashi exhaled and turned to Hiruzen. "We accept, Lord Third. Everyone, prepare for a month-long journey and meet me at the village gates tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp." With that, he vanished in a puff of smoke. The rest of the team dispersed to get ready, but Naruto lingered. Iruka had already left, leaving him alone with the Hawkage. "Old man, we need to talk," Naruto said, disappearing in a blur toward Hiruzen's office. Hiruzen followed shortly after, curiosity piqued. Upon entering, he found Naruto seated with his arms crossed. Sitting behind his desk, Hiruzen asked, "What is it you need, Naruto?" For a moment, Naruto stayed silent, then finally spoke. "Thanks for telling me about my mother. But I'll admit, I was angry that you didn't tell me about my father, even though you clearly knew. Now that I've thought it over, I get it. If the other big villages, especially Kumo and Iwa, knew, they'd be after my head. What better way to get back at the Yellow Flash than by killing his son?" Hiruzen's eyes widened, though he quickly composed himself. "So, you figured it out. Naruto smirked faintly. I'm surprised more people haven't. Sure, my hair and eyes are slightly different shades, but otherwise I look exactly like him. Guess some people are just blind. So who else knows? It's not that simple, Naruto, Hiruzen replied. Hate and fear cloud judgment. To my knowledge, only Kakashi and Jiraiya know for certain. I suspect a few council members have guessed, based on your resemblance, and the fact Minato chose you as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto absorbed his words before speaking again, his tone quieter now. What can you tell me about him? Isn't it ironic that the son of this so-called greatest hero is treated the way I am? The Hokage's gaze softened, a heavy sadness in his eyes. I'm sorry, Naruto. I didn't withhold the truth to hurt you, only to protect you. Your godfather is the one who should tell you about your father. He knew him like a brother. But I will say this, your father was a great shinobi, a devoted husband, and I believe he would have been an incredible father. A lump formed in Naruto's throat, though he forced back the tears. Thanks, old man. I'll hold you to that promise about my godfather. Of course, you're the only true family he has left. Now that you know the truth, I can begin transferring your parents' estate into your name. If you want, you can even move into their house. It belongs to you. Naruto froze at the thought. I can't do that yet. I need time to process all this and understand where I come from. I understand, Hiruzen said, placing the key away. And speaking of your heritage, this mission may help you learn more about your mother's clan, the Uzumaki. Naruto frowned. How so? Your mother's people lived in Uzushiogakure, the land of whirlpools, until its destruction by Iwa, Kumo, and Kiri. That land was near the land of waves, where you're headed. Exploring the ruins might teach you more about your abilities. Hiruzen handed him a book titled The Fall of Uzushiogakure. Naruto accepted it, planning to read it during the journey. Thanks. I'd better get ready. And with that, he vanished, leaving even Hiruzen impressed by his speed. He's growing at a remarkable pace. One day, he may surpass even his father, the Hokage thought. The next morning, Konoha's Gates Team 7 and Tazuna assembled, ready to depart. Naruto, however, carried nothing but the clothes on his back. Dobi, Sasuke said not mockingly, but curiously, you didn't bring rations or weapons? Naruto casually pulled 2 scrolls from his pocket. I've got everything I need right here, Kakashi chuckled. That's an Uzumaki for you. The remark caught Tazuna, Sasuke, and Sakura's attention. And Uzumaki, this brat, no way, Tazuna muttered. What's so special about the Uzumaki? Sasuke asked. That's something the academy should have covered, Kakashi replied. But it's not my place to tell, clan secrets are to be respected. You have a clan, Sasuke and Sakura exclaimed. Yes, Naruto admitted, but I don't trust you enough to share details yet. Sakura decided to drop it, starting to see Naruto in a different light. Sasuke, however, became even more determined to uncover the truth, especially since the name Uzumaki stirred something deep within him. With that, the team set out. Hours later, they came across a suspicious puddle. It hadn't rained recently, which caught Kakashi and Sasuke's attention. Naruto, whose eyes could see through illusions much like the Byakugan, glanced at Kakashi knowingly, confirming the danger hidden within. As the group moved past a shallow puddle along the path, 2 figures suddenly sprang out, each wearing matching cloaks and heavy chain-linked gauntlets that were joined together. Without hesitation, they swung the chained weapons toward Kakashi, wrapping him in the metal links and seemingly tearing him apart. The gruesome display left Tazuna and Sakura frozen in horror. 1 down, 4 left, the pair declared in perfect unison. Tazuna and Sakura trembled at the unexpected violence, while Sasuke instantly assumed a ready stance, prepared for combat. Naruto, on the other hand, didn't even flinch. His gaze was fixed on the tree line, as though he had noticed something the others had missed. The only one who seemed to share his awareness was Sasuke. Stay sharp, Dobi, Sasuke warned with a serious tone. He wasn't overly alarmed himself, knowing Kakashi had used a substitution to avoid injury, but he still expected Naruto to treat the situation seriously. These weren't amateurs, they were seasoned shinobi trained in killing. Naruto blinked out of his distracted state, gave Sasuke a lazy grin and started to speak. Come on, don't be so uptight, Sasuke. Besides, his words trailed off as, in the blink of an eye, he vanished from his spot. Before anyone could process it, he reappeared behind the 2 attackers, casually draping his arms over their shoulders like they were old friends. These guys aren't worth worrying about, he finished with a smirk. That speed, Sakura gasped, her eyes wide. She knew Naruto had hidden strength, but this was something else entirely. It made her realize he'd been holding back much more than she thought. In her mind, however, Sasuke was still superior. Tazuna, meanwhile, was stunned into silence. The way the boy moved looked less like speed and more like teleportation. Sasuke clenched his teeth, irritated at seeing Naruto pull off another feat he himself couldn't yet match. Shaking off their surprise, the two enemies quickly separated, breaking the chain link between them. One lunged toward Naruto, the other veered for Tazuna, only to have Sasuke intercept him. The fight split into two duels. Sasuke's agile kicks and spinning strikes overwhelmed his opponent, landing multiple hits. The enemy tried to counter but found himself outpaced. Meanwhile, the attacker facing Naruto moved in with a smug confidence. Thinking the boy was an easy target, he swung a powerful downward strike with his gauntlet. But the blow froze inches from Naruto's face, halted as if an invisible barrier had stopped it. Looking utterly unimpressed, Naruto decided to end the bout. With a mere gesture, he manipulated gravity around his foe, hoisting the man helplessly into the air. Confusion flashed across the masked face before Naruto slammed him into the earth with crushing force, leaving a crater and knocking him unconscious. Sasuke, mid-battle, was about to finish his own opponent when the shockwave from Naruto's attack made him glance over. His brief distraction was all the enemy needed. He kicked Sasuke back hard and made a break for Tazuna. Sakura stepped in front of the builder, trembling, but the man charged straight for her. Sasuke tried to recover, panic in his voice as he yelled no. Naruto was already preparing to blitz in, but before he could, Kakashi appeared out of nowhere, catching the enemy in a brutal chokehold and knocking him out cold. Kakashi had been observing the fight closely. He was pleased with each genin's display of skill, but it was obvious they still lacked coordination. Naruto had crushed his opponent effortlessly. Sasuke had done well but been too distracted by Naruto's presence, and Sakura had mostly stayed on defense. When Kakashi saw Sasuke lose focus, he had decided it was time to step in. "Not bad, team. You handled yourselves against two Chunin-level opponents. Color me impressed. But discipline and teamwork need serious improvement," he said, his eyes lingering briefly on both Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto only shrugged, while Sasuke glared at him. The tension between the two was almost palpable, but Kakashi pushed it aside for now. Turning to Tazuna, he asked, "Now, why don't you explain why shinobi are targeting you? Every time they had the chance, they went straight for you, like they already knew their objective." Lowering his head in shame, Tazuna finally admitted the truth. I'm sorry. It's not just bandits I need protection from. A man named Gato wants me dead. The bridge I'm building threatens his control over our village." "Gato," Kakashi repeated. "The wealthy shipping magnate, what could he possibly gain from stopping your bridge?" "Yes, that's the image most people know. But in reality, he's a criminal. He built his fortune by exploiting those too weak to fight back. He uses gangs, thugs, and now hired shinobi to keep people oppressed. Our village used to thrive through trade at our docks, but Gato took over and imposed crushing taxes. Without his permission, we can't trade at all. He's made us completely dependent on him. I lied because our village could only afford this much protection," Tazuna explained. Kakashi's tone hardened. "I do sympathize, but lying meant you weren't assigned the right protection. The Hawkage could have arranged a delayed payment and sent an appropriate team. As it stands, this mission's rank is now at least B-class. We should head back to the village and reevaluate." Sakura silently welcomed that suggestion. She was scared and didn't want to face enemies far beyond genin level. Sasuke, however, was frustrated. He wanted the challenge. Naruto's expression darkened. He hated when the strong preyed on the weak, a reminder of his own past. "No," he said flatly, "we finished the mission." The others stared at him in surprise. "Naruto, this isn't work for genin," Kakashi countered. "And we're not just any genin. You said yourself we can handle Chunin," Naruto replied without hesitation. Kakashi studied him, then turned to the others. "What do you all think?" Sasuke smirked slightly. "The Dobi's right, we can take whatever comes." Sakura, not wanting to be the only dissenting voice, nodded reluctantly. "If Sasuke's in, then I'm in." "All right," Kakashi decided. "We'll talk payment later, Tazuna. For now, we continue. Tazuna's face lit up with relief. He couldn't afford delays in finishing the bridge. Kakashi secured the unconscious Chunin to a tree and sent one of his ninkin ahead with a message to the village detailing the situation. Land of Waves. Later, by the time the group reached the Land of Waves, they were close to Tazuna's village. Along the way, he'd told them more about his people's suffering. As they walked, they noticed a white rabbit nearby. Only Kakashi's instincts flared at its presence, but before he could act, both he and Naruto shouted, "Down!" A massive cleaver-like sword whirled toward them. Everyone ducked as Naruto whisked Tazuna out of its path in a blur, leaving the builder dizzy from the sudden burst of speed. The weapon embedded itself deep in a tree, and a tall figure wrapped in bandages from the nose down landed atop it. "The bridge builder, 3 brats, and the copy ninja himself," the man said with cold amusement. Recognition flashed in Kakashi's eyes. "Zabuza Mamachi, demon of the hidden mist, former ANBU missing nin, this won't be easy." He slid his headband up, revealing the Sharingan to everyone's shock, except Naruto, who could see through it with his 6 eyes. "An honor," Zabuza mocked, "to be considered worthy of the infamous Sharingan." Kakashi gave his team quick orders. "Protect Tazuna, this one's mine." Zabuza's hands blurred through seals. "Hidden mist jutsu." A thick, chilling fog rolled in. His voice cut through the haze like a blade. "Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, kidneys, heart. Tell me, which do you want me to pierce first?" His killing intent froze Sakura, Sasuke, and Tazuna in place. Yet, to his surprise, the mist seemed to stop short, unable to touch their immediate space. His eyes narrowed at the blonde genin with his forehead protector pulled over his eyes. Something about the boy felt wrong, unnervingly calm. And even through the suffocating fog, that boy looked directly at him. Zabuza moved instantly, blade raised for the kill. Kakashi's heart jolted, he wouldn't make it in time. But as the weapon stopped mere inches from Naruto's face, the boy spoke, voice steady. "You're supposed to be a jonin. Even sensei over there managed to surprise me once. Guess you're not much after all." Naruto's fist shot forward, forcing Zabuza to twist away at the last second. A punch that would have done far more than just bruise if it had landed. Zabuza instinctively retreated a few paces, his eyes narrowing as he scrutinized Naruto with newfound seriousness. Kakashi moved to Naruto's side in an instant, his expression unreadable but his body tense. "What in the world? What technique was that?" Zabuza muttered under his breath, still reeling from the shock. So the Leaf wasn't bluffing after all. To think they'd have someone like me among them, and it's a child who's already been forced to take lives. He recognized that cold, unwavering look in Naruto's eyes. He had seen it countless times before in those who had crossed the line into killing. That strike earlier, if it had connected, it would have ended him. Now Zabuza understood that Kakashi wasn't the only dangerous opponent here. The boy beside him was more than capable of being a real threat. "Don't provoke him, Naruto," Kakashi warned in a firm, almost protective tone. "He's not an opponent to underestimate." Naruto glanced at Kakashi, his expression empty and unbothered. He had no interest in debating the point, especially since, from his perspective, Zabuza would only be troublesome if he got careless. "Fine, sensei. If you want him for yourself, be my guest," he replied, his voice laced with subtle sarcasm. Accepting Naruto's withdrawal from the fight, Kakashi engaged Zabuza directly. The clash between the 2 elite shinobi was fast and unrelenting, neither giving the other an easy opening. Kakashi gradually began to gain the upper hand, until Zabuza, using a deceptive water clone, managed to catch him off guard and lock him inside a water prison. "Run. Take Tazuna and get out of here now," Kakashi barked, urgency sharpening his voice. Zabuza smirked darkly. "Heh, your little brats won't make it past the tree line before I cut them down." Sakura and Tazuna prepared to follow Kakashi's order immediately, but Sasuke hesitated, and Naruto's pride bristled at the command. "Sasuke, we can handle this. If we work together, we can help Sensei," Naruto urged. Normally, Sasuke would have argued just to assert himself, but he knew Naruto's strength, and knew wasting time would be costly. Swallowing his pride, he gave a curt nod. Deciding to conserve his more dangerous powers unless the situation truly demanded it, Naruto moved quickly. He hurled a smoke bomb to obscure their movements, then transformed himself into a massive shuriken. Sasuke hurled the disguised Naruto toward Zabuza, who easily leapt over it. But the instant Zabuza thought he'd dodged, the shuriken unraveled into Naruto mid-spin. "Shadow Shuriken Jutsu!" he shouted, unleashing a barrage of spinning blades. The sheer volume forced Zabuza to abandon the water prison and leap far from his position to avoid being shredded. No sooner had he landed than a kunai came slicing down at him. He blocked it with his sword, only to find Kakashi, now free, bearing down on him. "You've got some talented kids there, copy ninja," Zabuza admitted. "Indeed," Kakashi replied simply, before launching back into the fight. This time, Kakashi's Sharingan tracked every move Zabuza made, copying and countering with flawless precision. Desperate, Zabuza unleashed one of his most devastating techniques. Kakashi mirrored him instantly. "Water style, water dragon jutsu," they roared in unison. The titanic dragons clashed midair, but Kakashi's superior chakra control overwhelmed Zabuza's, sending the mist ninja crashing backward, bloodied and barely standing. As Team 7 closed in, Zabuza readied himself for one last stand. But before anyone could act, 3 senbon needles embedded themselves in his neck, dropping him instantly. A slim figure stepped into view. Long black hair, a white ANBU-style mask, and a calm, cold demeanor. "I thank you for your assistance. I've been pursuing this man for his betrayal of the hidden mist. I'll be taking his body back for proper disposal." Too drained to argue, Kakashi gave a faint nod. But Naruto's eyes narrowed. He knew ANBU protocol dictated destroying a corpse immediately, not hauling it away. And through his perception, he could still detect the faint pulse in Zabuza's veins. Before Naruto could move, Kakashi collapsed from chakra exhaustion. With no time to spare, Naruto slung Kakashi over his back, and Tazuna guided them toward his home to tend to the Jonin's condition. Somewhere deep in the forest, 3 ominous figures observed the battle's aftermath. Hanami stood beside Dagon and a third, eerie spirit. "Hanami, that man. Are you certain that's Satoru Gojo?" Dagon asked, his voice low and skeptical. "Yes, I'm certain," Hanami replied firmly. "His appearance may have changed, but the density of his cursed energy is unmistakable. Still, he lacks the knowledge and instincts he once had. And as for Him, he's also here but far weaker than before. It's as if only a fragment of his soul crossed over." Dagon's gaze hardened. "It's irrelevant. You know who will soon be reborn. We must be there when it happens." Hanami gave a slow nod, then turned to the third presence, a twisted being born from the hopeless hunger of the land of Waves people. Its body was tall and emaciated, its long white hair framing a whirlpool-shaped face devoid of eyes. "Watch Gojo and Geto," Hanami ordered. "Track their progress. If the opportunity presents itself, kill them. They're our greatest obstacles in building a world ruled by curses." The famine spirit's distorted voice rasped a single word. "Understood." The next day in Tazuna's home, Kakashi stirred as sunlight crept across his face. He overheard raised voices, Naruto and Sasuke in mid-argument. "Explain yourself. You've been hiding this from all of us. You never showed anything like that in the academy, and now you can take on Jonin." Sasuke's frustration boiled over, fueled by the realization that he was no longer the strongest genin, and that it was Naruto who had surpassed him. "I don't owe you anything," Naruto shot back coldly. "If you think you deserve my secrets, why don't you tell me about the Sharingan and your clan first? Or is this going to be another case where it only works one way?" Sasuke stiffened, glaring at him, then, to everyone's surprise, sighed. "Fine, what do you want to know?" Naruto blinked, thrown off. "What?" "I said I'll share what I can." "Within reason," Sasuke replied, his curiosity outweighing his pride. Truthfully, Naruto hadn't cared about Uchiha's secrets, he'd only said it to shut Sasuke up. Yet here Sasuke was, offering compromise. After a pause, Naruto relented. "Forget it, I don't need your secrets. But my abilities come from a secondary source of power, something apart from chakra, called cursed energy. It's like chakra in that everyone has it, but most people have so little it's laughable. Well, except a few people, Hinata, you and me." Sasuke's interest sharpened. "So I could use it too." "Yes and no," Naruto explained. "Like Kekkei Genkai, its applications vary from person to person. Everyone's cursed energy feels different. Yours isn't like mine, but it's there." Before Sasuke could ask more, Sakura chimed in. "What about me?" Naruto gave a short, apologetic shrug. You have it, but not enough to really use. Don't take it personally. Kakashi-sensei only has a bit more than you, and look how strong he is. Funny thing, though most adults have barely any cursed energy. It's like nature gave our generation far more than the last. For most of them, it's a drop of water. For us, it's a bucket. For people like Sasuke and Hinata, it's a pool. For me, it's an ocean. Kakashi finally spoke, startling both Sasuke and Sakura. Interesting, the Hokage mentioned cursed energy to me but not in detail. We'll have to explore it further. But right now, there's something else you should know. I have reason to believe Zabuza is still alive. Sasuke spoke first, his tone calm yet certain. Yeah, Naruto figured that out too. He broke down for us how the ANBU handle corpse disposal, saying it's the same policy in every shinobi village. Kakashi gave a slow nod, his single eye narrowing slightly. Good. Then you also understand that the so-called hunter nin we saw was most likely working with him, rather than being an actual mist shinobi. He waited for their confirming nods before continuing. That means they'll almost certainly come back to finish the job. You especially need to be ready, Naruto. You've proven to them you're dangerous, and shinobi of that caliber don't make the same mistake twice. His voice carried a quiet seriousness as they shifted the discussion toward training strategies while still keeping watch over Tazuna, since Kakashi was still recuperating. The door creaked open and Tazuna stepped inside, his gruff voice breaking the moment. Oh, you're awake. That's a relief, wouldn't want you dying here of all places, he said with a crooked grin. Kakashi gave an awkward sweat drop at the remark, but the old bridge builder pressed on. Come downstairs, my daughter's made dinner. With that, the group followed him, Kakashi accepting a pair of crutches to help him move. Guess I've gotten rusty if something like that put me out, Kakashi thought with a frown, realizing he might need to resume his own serious training soon. Tazuna's kitchen they were welcomed by the warm aroma of a home-cooked meal, courtesy of Tsunami. The dishes were modest but clearly prepared with care. Please, help yourselves, she said softly. We don't get the chance to host guests very often. In the impoverished land of waves, Gato's grip on resources had driven the people to the edge, and offering food to Team 7 had taken much from the family's own stores. That was when a sharp, bitter voice cut through the air. Why are they even here? They're just going to end up dead anyway. All eyes turned toward a boy of about 8 years old, Inari, Tsunami's son and Tazuna's grandson. Inari, Tsunami's voice was sharp with disapproval, but Tazuna only sighed, recognizing the boy's hardened outlook. Don't yell at me, I'm right. Inari's small hands clenched into fists. They don't know what it's like to really suffer. They live in a big village where they never worry about their next meal. Acting like they're some kind of heroes aren't real. Everyone who tries ends up dead. The next voice was colder than anyone expected. Don't talk about things you can't understand, brat, Naruto said, his tone sharp enough to cut stone. I get that you're angry, I can even see it. His eyes narrowed, sensing the boy's emotional energy. But don't assume you know our lives. You have a mother and grandfather who love you. I never had that. You've never had the people around you look at you with pure hate, wanting you gone, or been thrown out of an orphanage at 5, forced to eat spoiled food just to survive because you're blamed for something completely out of your control. By the end, Naruto's voice had risen into a shout, his chakra and cursed energy flaring wildly. The floor and table rattled under the pressure, leaving the room in stunned silence. Naruto, that's enough. Kakashi's voice was firm, reining him in. Naruto exhaled slowly, forcing himself to calm down. Sorry, I need some air, he muttered before stepping outside. The silence that followed was heavy until Sakura spoke. Kakashi-sensei, what he said, there's no way the village would treat a child like that, right? Kakashi's eye lowered. Everything he told you is true. Naruto's life has been far worse than you can imagine. People saw him as something he wasn't, and they hurt him for it, physically, emotionally. His parents died the day he was born, during the Nine-Tails attack. To the civilians, he's a living reminder of that night, and they've tried to harm him whenever they could. That's why he acts the way he does, showing off his strength to prove he's not weak, demanding respect they've denied him. His loudness is real, but the arrogance? That's a shield to hide the loneliness and anger inside. His gaze slid toward Sasuke. The explanation left a mix of emotions around the table. Tazuna now viewed Naruto in a new light, his gruff exterior tinged with respect. Tsunami's eyes glistened with tears, imagining the cruelty of such a childhood and feeling disgust for those who caused it. Sakura shrank into herself, guilt twisting in her chest. Sasuke, meanwhile, found himself unexpectedly respecting Naruto. He'd known Naruto was treated unfairly, but had never realized the depth of it. Inari's eyes watered, guilt replacing his earlier defiance. Before he could speak, Kakashi addressed him. "Kid, Naruto gets where you're coming from, but you can't belittle someone else's suffering while sitting back and doing nothing about your own. You're still young, you can't fight grown men, but giving up like your grandfather isn't risking his life for this village. That's an insult to the ones who keep trying." Tears streaming, Inari bolted to his room, Tsunami following after him. Tazuna sighed. "Thank you, I think he needed to hear that." He went on to tell them about Inari's stepfather, Kaiza, who had once saved the village from a devastating flood, becoming a hero in everyone's eyes. When Gato came, Kaiza stood alone against him, only to be overpowered, tortured, and executed in front of everyone as a warning. The memory had crushed Inari's spirit, along with the villagers. For the rest of Team 7, the story solidified their determination to see the mission through. Naruto wandered through the dim streets, his mind replaying the earlier confrontation. Well, a deep, rumbling voice echoed inside his head. "It's been a while since you let yourself get worked up like that. Over a kid, no less. If you'd been someone else with a seal that loose, I'd have taken control right then." The Kyubai's tone was smug. Naruto smirked faintly. "You're welcome to try. My own chakra reserves are already on par with a Biju's, and with my cursed energy and abilities, I'd say I'm close to your league." The fox snorted. "Just don't let that ego get you killed, but I'll admit, you're not like the rest of your kind." "Thanks for reminding me I'm a freak," Naruto replied dryly. Anytime, the Kyuubi shot back with equal sarcasm. "So when are you going to start learning to use my chakra?" Naruto paused mid-step. "Oh, the mighty Kyuubi finally offering me his power." "Don't flatter yourself. I just want to see how my strength works with yours." The truth was, over time, the fox had begun to tolerate, even enjoy Naruto's presence, though he'd never admit it. Sure," Naruto teased, prompting a low growl before the connection cut. "Yeah, go nap, furball." As he turned a corner, voices reached his ears, desperate, afraid. He saw two thugs blocking a narrow alley, a woman clutching her child. "Please, he didn't mean it," the woman begged. "That brat stole our lunch," one thug sneered. "We cut off thieves' hands." "I'll do anything," she pleaded. "Oh, anything." The second thug's leer made her flinch. They grabbed her, one holding the child back as he screamed. "Shut it. Your mom's just going to pay for your mistake." Before they could act further, a calm but scornful voice came from the alley's entrance. "No matter where I go, I always find garbage pretending to be human." The thugs turned, bristling. "What you say, punk?" They moved toward Naruto, but before they could strike, an overwhelming pressure crushed them flat to the ground, leaving them gasping for breath. The two men let out ragged, pain-filled groans, their voices trembling as an invisible force crushed every bone and muscle in their bodies. Struggling to breathe, they could do nothing but glare helplessly at the boy before them. Naruto stood above them, his gaze cold and laced with malice, the corners of his mouth curling into a cruel, almost delighted grin. Within seconds, the pressure intensified and their vision tunneled into darkness. Both collapsed unconscious, their bodies hitting the ground with a dull thud. Seeing that they were out cold, Naruto released his grip on the strange technique and calmly turned his attention toward a nearby woman and her young child, who were frozen in stunned disbelief at what they had just witnessed. The woman, snapping out of her shock, rushed forward slightly. Thank you so much. I don't even want to think about what those animals would have done if you hadn't arrived when you did," she said, her voice trembling but sincere. Naruto gave a slight shrug, his tone casual yet assured. "It's fine. Soon enough, your whole village won't have to worry about these people ever again." Her eyes widened at his statement. "Wait, are you one of the ninja Tazuna hired to guard us while he and the others build the bridge?" she asked, hope creeping into her voice. "That's right," Naruto replied with certainty. "Oh, thank the gods." Relief washed over her face. "If you can do to the rest of Gato's men what you just did to those two, our home might finally be safe. Lately, they've been doing awful things I can barely bring myself to talk about." Naruto tilted his head, his curiosity piqued. What kind of things? The woman's gaze flicked toward her child. She leaned closer to Naruto, lowering her voice so the boy wouldn't overhear, even though Naruto himself was still just a child. They've always been killers, but recently, what they've been doing to the bodies, it's beyond cruel. People have been found at the docks, torn apart so badly you can't even recognize them. I thought I'd seen the worst of them, but this, I'll never forget it. And the strange thing is the docks themselves feel haunted now, like the air is thick with something evil. She hugged herself tightly, shivering at the memory. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Inside his mind, alarms went off. "Where are these docks?" he asked sharply. Startled by his sudden tone, she hesitated before pointing toward the direction of the harbor. Naruto gave her a short nod of thanks, then disappeared from sight in a blur of speed. The woman and her son were left staring, speechless at what they'd just seen. "Mom, do you think I could do that one day?" the boy asked, his eyes shining with admiration. She smiled softly, unwilling to crush his dream. "Maybe one day." At the village docks, Naruto arrived at the waterfront, and the moment his feet touched the wooden planks, an unsettling pressure rolled over him. His instincts sharpened. "Feel that, Kyuubi?" he murmured in his mind. "Yeah," the Ninetales replied. "It's like your own presence but missing the human part, feels twisted." Naruto's gaze hardened. "So, just like what happened with Hinata that night, cursed energy. Something's here, and I doubt anyone else can handle it." Knowing this was going to complicate the mission, he decided not to investigate further yet. He turned back toward the safe house, returning quietly to find everyone asleep. Without a word, he lay down, mentally preparing himself for tomorrow and planning how to deal with this new, unseen threat. Unknown hideout in another part of the island. A short man in a crisp suit, wearing black sunglasses and walking with a cane, stepped into a dim hallway. His orange hair stuck up in messy spikes, and two rough-looking thugs followed close behind. This was Gojo. His voice was full of irritation as he spoke. "Those useless shinobi aren't worth the dirt under my shoes if a bunch of kids can scare them off. And one more thing, you'd better find out which one of you freaks is killing my workers at the docks. I still need bodies to move cargo. If you keep slaughtering them, that bridge will get finished before I can stop it." His tone rose to a near shout. Annoyed and still fuming over Tazuna being alive, Gojo entered a larger room where Zabuza sat, recovering from his injuries while being tended to by his companion. Without greeting, Gojo sneered. "If this is how you run your business, I should be asking for my advance back." Zabuza slowly turned his head and shot the man a murderous glare. If it weren't for the money involved, he would have slit Goto's throat already. "Get lost," he growled. Goto's face turned red with anger. He stomped forward. "Listen here, you worthless." Before he could finish, the masked figure tending Zabuza grabbed his wrist in a crushing grip. "Zabuza-sama said to leave. I suggest you listen." The voice was calm yet threatening. Removing his mask revealed Haku Yuki, whose androgynous features could easily be mistaken for a young woman. "I'm the one paying you," Goto began, but a sharp cry escaped him as Haku's fingers tightened, breaking the bone in his arm with a sickening crack. The thugs at his side froze, too afraid to intervene. "We'll complete the job," Haku said coldly. "You'll pay us and then we'll disappear. Now leave." The killing intent pouring from Haku froze Goto's blood. Cradling his broken arm, he backed away. "Fine. Just make sure it's done," he shouted over his shoulder as he stumbled out. Once they were alone, Haku turned back to Zabuza. "You'll be fully recovered soon. I'll gather more herbs tomorrow to finish the treatment." "Good," Zabuza muttered darkly. "I've got unfinished business with that team, especially Headache and the blonde brat." Haku frowned. "The blonde one's abilities aren't ordinary. Straightforward attacks won't work. He has some kind of bloodline power." "I've thought about that," Zabuza said. "Headache's mine, you'll handle the blonde. Use your stealth and precision, leave the other two. They're barely worth mentioning." The two continued plotting late into the night. Next morning, Land of Waves Forest Kakashi led his students into the forest for training. "All right, team, today you'll be learning how to climb trees." All three blinked at him. Sasuke frowned. "How is climbing trees supposed to help us fight?" "Not climbing normally," Kakashi clarified. "You'll be using only the soles of your feet." Sasuke and Sakura exchanged a baffled look, but Naruto spoke up. Oh, chakra control training, I already know how. I can even walk on water. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, impressed. That's advanced for a fresh genin. Show them. Naruto casually stepped onto a nearby tree trunk, walking straight up it as if it were solid ground. Sasuke and Sakura stared, stunned. When did you learn that? Sasuke demanded, irritation edging his tone. A year or two ago, maybe, Naruto replied carelessly. Sakura's voice rose in disbelief. Wait, you could do that back at the academy. Why did you always act like you couldn't? Naruto had no intention of explaining that his enormous chakra reserves and the Nine-Tails interference had made control difficult in the past. Instead, he shrugged. Doesn't matter. Both teammates scowled, but before they could push further, Kakashi cut in. I'm still a bit worn out, so I'll watch over Tazuna and the bridge. Naruto, give them pointers. And with that, he vanished in a puff of smoke, clearly avoiding actual work. Naruto shook his head. How is that guy a Jonin? He gestured to the tree. All right, Sasuke, you've got the ninjutsu skill, so this should be easy. Sakura, you're smart, you'll get it fast. Annoyed by his tone, they said nothing and got to work. As predicted, Sakura reached the top almost immediately. Sasuke, however, kept losing control. Too much chakra one time, too little the next, falling repeatedly. Frustration twisted his face, but with help from both teammates, he eventually made it to the top. Nice job, Sasuke, Sakura cheered. Naruto nodded in approval, but Sasuke quickly stepped closer. You told me I have cursed energy, show me how to use it. Naruto hesitated. You've done enough for today. Maybe, no, Sasuke cut him off. Show me. The two locked eyes, tension crackling in the air. Naruto finally glanced at Sakura. Why don't you go find Kakashi? Cursed energy can be disturbing to people who can't use it. I'll be fine, Naru, she began, only for Sasuke to interrupt again. Do as he says, Sakura. He knows more about it than you. His real motive had nothing to do with her safety. He just wasn't going to waste a chance to gain an edge, especially one that might help him face Itachi. Sakura, not wanting to provoke any conflict with him, reacted the same way she always did, quietly following his lead. Before long, Naruto and Sasuke found themselves alone. Naruto turned to him and asked, Sasuke, are you angry? Or more precisely, do you ever feel overwhelming hatred? Though Naruto already knew what the answer would be, he still posed the question, which caused Sasuke to frown slightly in confusion. Why would you ask that? Sasuke replied. Just answer, Naruto said firmly. Sasuke hesitated, unsure where this conversation was headed, but eventually admitted, yes. That's pretty much all I ever feel, anger and a burning hatred for one man. I want him to suffer, to die slowly, by my own hands. Naruto smirked at the confession. A little dramatic, but that's the first step toward understanding cursed energy. What? Sasuke asked, now looking more perplexed. Your rage and hatred. They're basically cursed energy in raw form. Learning to channel those negative emotions is how you turn them into a weapon, Naruto explained, his words catching Sasuke's full attention. You've already got someone you despise with everything you have, right? So I want you to dig into that fury. Find it inside you, bring it to the surface, the way I'm about to. Naruto then focused, his fist radiating with dense cursed energy, serving as a clear example. Sasuke watched the energy closely, studying every detail of how it pulsed and moved. After a moment, he shut his eyes and recalled Naruto's instructions, deciding to drag himself mentally back to the worst day of his life. The memories hit like a storm, the metallic scent of blood filling the air, the shock giving way to panic and terror. He saw the streets littered with the mangled bodies of his clan. His heart pounded as he entered his home, and there, he witnessed the nightmare that would forever haunt him. The vision pulled him deeper, thump. To measure my strength, Itachi's cold voice echoed. Thump. Manjikaiwu Sharingan came next, as Sasuke relived every horror his brother forced into his mind, showing him in grotesque detail how he massacred their parents and the rest of the clan. Sasuke's breathing grew ragged. Naruto considered stopping him, but he could feel the cursed energy inside Sasuke starting to boil. Thump. Sasuke remembered collapsing, vomiting, as Itachi delivered words that cut deeper than any blade. You're not even worth killing. Thump. But then, another image, one unfamiliar, flashed in his mind. A trembling girl in a blue and white school uniform reached for his hand. Before she could touch him, a deafening bang rang out, and she crumpled lifelessly. "Ahhhhhhh," Sasuke roared, overcome by fear and fury, his fist crackling with cursed energy as he lunged at Naruto. Naruto activated his limitless technique and sidestepped, letting Sasuke strike obliterate a nearby tree in a single blow. He could have just stood still and let the attack dissipate harmlessly, but he wanted to see Sasuke's full potential with cursed energy. "Damn," Naruto muttered, surveying the shattered remains. He was now certain, aside from himself, Sasuke's cursed energy reserve surpassed anyone he'd met, even Hinata. But Sasuke didn't hear him. His mind was still somewhere else, eyes unfocused. Concerned, Naruto stepped forward, resting a hand on his shoulder. "Hey, you with me?" Sasuke blinked, slowly coming back to reality, though his expression remained unsettled. "I need to be alone," he said quietly, before walking away toward Tazuna's house. Naruto exhaled, muttering to himself, "Maybe that wasn't my smartest idea." Still, Sasuke could now access cursed energy, so Naruto decided to give him space and spend the night refining his own chakra control and brainstorming new ways to merge it with cursed energy. The next morning, Naruto leaned against a tree, eyes closed, appearing to be asleep. A slender figure approached, dressed in a pink kimono with long black hair. It was Haku. He considered pulling a kunai and slitting Naruto's throat then and there, but after a brief pause, he lowered his hand and shook his head, abandoning the thought. Naruto had sensed his presence long before. He watched silently as Haku's hand hovered near the kunai, activating Limitless just in case. When Haku stopped, Naruto relaxed slightly. "You know," he said casually, "sneaking up on someone isn't exactly polite." Haku tensed at being discovered, but quickly composed himself. "My apologies. I'm here for the herbs beside you. My friend is injured." "Got it. I'll help you," Naruto replied, and they began gathering the plants together. Their conversation stayed light, not too personal, but enough to keep the exchange from feeling tense. When they finished, Haku smiled faintly. "Thank you, Naruto. Meeting you has been a pleasure." "No problem. After all, who wouldn't help a beautiful lady?" Naruto said. Haku paused, then looked back with a small smirk. "For the record, I'm a boy." Naruto froze, staring blankly. Haku chuckled and walked away, but stopped when Naruto called out, "Take care of Zabuza for me. Tell him I'll be seeing him soon." He vanished instantly, a flurry of senbon striking the spot where he had been standing. Reappearing near Tazuna's home, Naruto muttered to himself, "He's definitely Hikari's type." Then he paused. "Wait, who the hell is Hikari?" At Tazuna's house, Naruto entered to find Kakashi and Sakura trying to get Sasuke to respond. His eyes were glazed over, his posture vacant. The moment Sakura spotted Naruto, she rushed over, accusing, "What did you do to him? He was fine when I left, and when we came back, he was wandering near the forest like this." "Calm down," Naruto said, defending himself. "All I did was help him tap into cursed energy. To do that, you have to bring up negative memories. I'm guessing whatever came up for him shook him pretty badly." Kakashi frowned. "You should have waited for me, Naruto. At least then I could have helped him process it." Naruto wasn't the type to apologize outright. "Next time I'll do that," he said curtly. Sakura shot him a glare before returning to Sasuke and placing a hand on his shoulder. But Sasuke's reaction was explosive. "Don't touch me, you damn monkey." Everyone froze, stunned, including Sasuke, who left without another word. When he was gone, Kakashi turned to Naruto. "Tell me exactly what happened." Naruto laid out the events in detail, not expecting Sasuke to be this rattled. Even if he wouldn't say it, guilt lingered in the back of his mind. They agreed to give Sasuke space, then discussed what Naruto had learned about Zabuza and Haku, formulating a plan. That night, Naruto spoke briefly with Inari, his tone lighter, indirectly apologizing for his earlier outburst. The next morning, Naruto, Kakashi, Sakura, and Tazuna headed for the bridge. Sasuke, though improved, still seemed off and stayed behind. On the bridge, the mist rolled in thick and heavy. Naruto was suddenly encased in a dome of reflective ice mirrors, while Kakashi clashed weapons with a massive figure wielding a giant sword. "It's payback time, and I'm taking out you and the blonde kid," Zabuza snarled. Inside the icy prison, Naruto stood calmly with his arms crossed as a figure darted from mirror to mirror. "So this is how it ends, huh, Haku?" he said, sliding his headband up to reveal the brilliant glow of the 6 eyes. Haku was silent for a moment, then answered, "It seems so." And with that, the final confrontation between these deadly shinobi began. Sasuke was roused from sleep by loud noises coming from the lower floor, high-pitched cries that sounded like Inari and Tsunami in panic. Without making a sound, he descended the stairs, only to find two rough-looking men holding the mother and child hostage. From their conversation, Sasuke picked up enough to know that Goto intended to use them as leverage. His mood was already sour, and though he knew his teammates had gone ahead to the bridge without him, something he understood given his current mental state, his pride outweighed any lingering hesitation. He decided to handle the situation quickly and rejoin the others. These intruders were nothing more than common street muscle. Without hesitation, he flicked a shuriken into one thug's leg, earning a cry of pain as the man collapsed and loosened his grip on Inari. In a blur, Sasuke closed the distance to the second man, driving a kunai deep into his arm, forcing him to release Tsunami. He followed it with a swift leg sweep, then slammed the man's head into the floor, rendering him unconscious. With the immediate threat neutralized, Sasuke turned to check on the shaken mother and child. "You two all right?" he asked, his tone calm but clipped. Tsunami took a steadying breath before replying, "Yes, thank you, Sasuke. I dread to think what might have happened if you hadn't been here." Sasuke gave a brief nod before crouching beside the still-conscious thug, who was clutching his wounded leg. Pressing the edge of his kunai to the man's throat, Sasuke spoke coldly. "If you want to keep breathing, start talking. What exactly were you planning?" On the bridge, if Tazuna were to describe the clash before him, he would not call it a fight between men, but between creatures born of raw violence. Two separate battles unfolded. On one side, Kakashi and Zabuza clashed in a brutal rematch. Kakashi attacked with a mix of precise kunai strikes and a variety of jutsu, while Zabuza countered with the massive executioner's blade and devastating water techniques. On the other side, a spectacle so fast and chaotic played out that Tazuna couldn't follow it. Ice mirrors constantly shattered and reformed, as Naruto smashed them apart with blows fueled by cursed energy, while Haku zipped between them at impossible speed, launching senbon that inexplicably froze mid-flight whenever they neared Naruto. "You truly are a prodigy, Naruto. Your strange abilities, I take it you carry a unique bloodline as well," Haku called, moving into a fresh mirror just as Naruto crushed the last one telekinetically. "Something like that," Naruto replied, unwilling to explain his limited understanding of cursed energy. "And I'll admit, no one's ever kept up with my speed until now." "I'm honored," Haku said sincerely. As their fight continued, his sharp eyes studied Naruto's movements. His power manipulates space and gravity. Any strike nearing him slows to a crawl before contact. And his chest isn't rising, he's not breathing while this barrier is up. That means light and sound can pass, but not matter. Haku hurled another wave of senbon, noting how they froze before touching Naruto. Then, by hiding a few needles perfectly behind the others, he saw them slip closer than the rest. "I see, his defense requires awareness. If he doesn't sense the attack in time, the barrier won't stop it." Naruto's control was strong but flawed. Keeping the barrier active wasn't overly draining, yet he couldn't choose what to let through. He dropped it at times when he felt it wasn't necessary, leaving him exposed. This gap in skill was his biggest weakness. "Demonic mirroring ice crystals," Haku intoned, summoning new mirrors, each holding an illusory image of himself to confuse his foe. Against most enemies, any without a dijutsu, this trick would work. But Naruto's perception rivaled those gifted eyes, and he tracked Haku's real body instantly. "None of my current jutsu can hit every mirror hard enough to stop them from regenerating," Naruto muttered while calmly avoiding more senbon. But Haku had already prepared an ice clone, which attacked from Naruto's blind spot. The needles stopped less than a hair from his skull, proof of his theory. "I've got you now," Haku thought, spawning more clones. Each coordinated their strikes for moments when Naruto dropped his barrier to breathe or focused on a single attack, slipping in blows from another angle. Haku's speed matched Naruto's, and for the first time in years, Naruto took damage. When the assault ended, he was bleeding, bristling with embedded senbon. Realizing Haku had cracked his defense, Naruto's expression darkened. "All right, I'm done playing." His words puzzled Haku, but before he could act, an oppressive, suffocating aura descended over the field. Inside Naruto's mind, I think it's time for a test. Give me a portion of your chakra, Kyuubi, Naruto said. The great fox smirked darkly. Are you sure? Maybe I'll take control and wipe out that wretched village of yours for what they did to me, he replied mockingly. You can try. Honestly, I can count on two hands the people there I'd even mildly care about if you killed them, Naruto shot back. The Kyuubi chuckled and complied, flooding him with potent chakra. Back to the fight, a blazing red and blue aura erupted around Naruto, carrying two overwhelming energies that seemed to crush the air itself. Haku broke into a sweat as Naruto unleashed a pulse of chakra that shattered every mirror and slammed him to the ground. Using both telekinesis and brute force, Naruto pummeled Haku relentlessly, fists sending him flying, the barrier dragging him back for more punishment. Kakashi, Zabuza, Sakura, and Tazuna froze mid-battle, staring in disbelief. They knew Haku's strength, and while Naruto was already considered formidable, this one-sided onslaught was shocking. That's definitely the Kyuubi's chakra. I know Naruto can be cold, but this level of brutality, it's excessive, even for him or Sasuke, Kakashi muttered. Zabuza's first reaction to the Biju chakra was fear. It reminded him of the man who ruined his life. But as his apprentice was beaten bloody, fear turned to fury. He abandoned his fight with Kakashi to rush Naruto, only to be brought down by Kakashi's summoned ninja hounds clamping onto him. And I'm supposed to be the demon, Zabuza growled through the pain. Naruto's final strike sent Haku sprawling, too injured to move. He hadn't even needed the fox's chakra, but his anger had driven him to use it. In a way, he was grateful. The fight had exposed the gaps in his technique. Approaching the downed Haku, Naruto heard him rasp. End me, Naruto, I've failed my master, and my death will likely be the reason he falls to your team. Naruto frowned, equal parts disturbed and annoyed. What the hell, man? You're both out of the fight. Killing you now would be pointless, especially since it's clear you didn't even want this battle. It was just a job to you. Even so, I'm nothing but a broken tool, Haku began, but Naruto cut him off. Stop, that's messed up. You're insanely strong, and yeah, loyalty's fine, but you're still your own person. Haku gave a sad smile and recounted the tragedy of his life. As Naruto listened, he began to understand Haku's devotion to Zabuza. Against his better judgment, he felt a reluctant kinship. They had both been shunned by their own people, albeit for different reasons. It made him feel slightly guilty for the savage beating. When Haku finished, Naruto spoke thoughtfully. I get it. My life's been different, but I've been cast out too, and I'll always be grateful to the few who helped me. But gratitude isn't ownership. They did it out of kindness, not because they expected payment. If Zabuza can't see you as anything more than a tool after all this time, then you're following the wrong man. What do you know, brat? Zabuza growled, his voice sharp with defiance. If it weren't for me, he'd be nothing more than a corpse rotting in some forgotten ditch, discarded as worthless trash. He belongs to me, my weapon, my responsibility, and everything I've done, every choice I've made, has been for his sake and for those like him. His explanation came even as Kakashi's summoned hounds kept him pinned to the ground. Naruto turned toward him, puzzled. What are you talking about? Zabuza fixed him with a cold stare before exhaling heavily. Tell me, do you even know about the civil war in Kirigakure? Do you understand why it began? Seeing the uncertainty on Naruto's face, Zabuza continued without waiting for an answer. The war erupted when the third Mizukage lost his mind and ordered the extermination of everyone possessing a bloodline limit. Haku here is the perfect example of what awaited those people. I might be a killer, but I refuse to stand by and watch the senseless slaughter of my fellow countrymen. That's why I've been forced to sell my services, and Haku's, to filth like Goto, gathering enough resources to fund the rebellion and free my homeland from that tyrant Yagura. I keep him by my side not just because he's useful, but because with his help, we can give Kiri's bloodline wielders the future they deserve. Haku's eyes widened, shimmering with unshed tears, finally realizing that all of Zabuza's ruthless choices had been for his sake, and others like him. A new respect for Zabuza stirred in Naruto's chest, and judging by their silence, Kakashi and the rest of the bridge's defenders felt the same. Before anyone could speak further, mocking laughter echoed across the span as a mob of armed men appeared, Goto strutting at their head. Well, who'd have thought the demon actually had a heart? Zabuza's lip curled. Gato, what the hell are you doing here? Making sure you die, of course, Gato replied with a sneer. You've become too expensive for my taste. With a snap of his fingers, 10 masked shinobi appeared beside him in a blur of motion, clearly ANBU from Kiri. I did my homework. You're wanted by these guys, that oversized sword of yours, and that precious little bloodline-using companion. Kiri was happy to send some of their best to take you out, free of charge. They even offered to eliminate that old bridge builder. You see, Tazuna is one of my top clients, and if my business goes under, theirs suffers too. Bastard, Zabuza and Haku snarled in unison. Kakashi stepped forward. Kiri, this is a mission sanctioned by Konoha. Interfere and you'll provoke retaliation from the Leaf. One of the ANBU scoffed. We were hired the same as you, copy ninja, and like you, we'll finish our mission. Leave or die. Kakashi released his ninken, helping Zabuza back to his feet. Looks like we're allies for now. Zabuza gave a curt nod, reclaiming his sword. Kakashi and Naruto moved to his side, with Naruto summoning a shadow clone to take Haku to Sakura and Tazuna, keeping them clear of the battle. Just then, a black blur landed beside them. Sasuke had arrived at last. Sorry I'm late. Had to get some information out of the thugs Gato sent to kidnap Tazuna's family. Looks like Kiri showed up right after. Tazuna's face paled. What, Tsunami and Inari, are they safe? They're fine, Sasuke replied flatly. Relief washed over Tazuna, who quickly retreated from the impending fight. Naruto eyed Sasuke. You good to fight? Better than good, Sasuke said with a faint smirk. I needed time to sort things out. Turns out I've unlocked something new. On top of my cursed energy, I've awakened these. His Sharingan flared to life, 2 Tamo in one eye, 3 in the other, his earlier trauma having triggered the power without him realizing it until now. Naruto grinned at the sight. Kakashi's tone grew serious. Be ready, this isn't the kind of enemy 2 genin should be facing, but I trust you both. Naruto's voice shifted inward. Hey, Kyuubi might need a full tail for this. I'm strong, but this could be too much. Half a tail, the fox replied lazily. You wanted to prove you didn't need me, remember? Let's see if you can back that up. If you struggle with small fry like these, I doubt you could ever take me on. Naruto bristled. Fine, I'll handle it without you. He shut the fox's voice out entirely. The 4 launched into combat. Zabuza cleaved through 2 ANBU in quick succession, while Kakashi caught another in a genjutsu, ending him with a swift slash. Sasuke clashed with a skilled opponent, barely keeping pace, until his Sharingan let him counter effectively. Bloodline filth, the ANBU spat at Sasuke. At least your traitor kinsman wiped most of you out. That insult sealed his fate. Sasuke's fist, charged with cursed energy, smashed through the man's guard, shattering both arms and breaking ribs. His scream was cut short as Sasuke unleashed a massive fireball, consuming him and another ANBU who had tried to catch him, leaving nothing but ash. That's 5 gone, Naruto said to the 3 surrounding him. Still time to run. They attacked in a coordinated strike, but froze mid-swing as Naruto's gaze locked on one of them, his eyes radiating an almost suffocating pressure. Using his limitless, he crushed them mercilessly, ignoring their screams until they were reduced to bloodied paste. Kakashi noted their efficiency with unease. Most shinobi hesitated on their first kill. These 2 showed none, making them dangerous assets. He silently resolved to keep them in check. The remaining ANBU, unnerved, turned on Gato. You said they'd be weakened after fighting each other. You promised only Zabuza, the copy ninja, and the bloodline user were threats. This goes beyond our contract. How was I supposed to know? Gato stammered, sweat dripping down his face. This mission is outside parameters. We're leaving. In an instant, they vanished. Pathetic, Zabuza spat. Kiri has truly fallen. His gaze fell on Gato and a predatory grin spread across his face. Now it's your turn, Gato shrieked, turning to flee. Top dollar to anyone who kills these monsters and gets me out of. His plea ended abruptly as Zabuza appeared behind him, swinging his massive blade in one smooth arc. Gato's head tumbled to the ground, his body collapsing lifelessly. The thugs stared in shock until one shouted angrily, "That was our paycheck, you bastards." "Yeah, screw this, let's take him down," barked one of the thugs with a sneer. "There's more than 100 of us. They don't stand a chance against all of us." Another shouted, his voice full of false bravado. As their confidence began to swell, Naruto's sudden burst of laughter froze the entire mob in place. Dozens of eyes shifted toward him, the sound of his chuckle cutting through the tension like a blade. Confusion flickered across the gang's faces until one thug stepped forward and snarled, "The hell's so funny, you little brat?" Still grinning, Naruto tried to steady his breathing between laughs before finally speaking. "You idiots really think you can touch us? You're just a bunch of street trash swinging shovels and rusty pipes like that's supposed to scare me. If you're counting on numbers to win the day, then you're already out of luck." As his words sank in, Naruto swiftly formed a hand sign, and in an instant, 50 shadow clones materialized beside him. The wave of confidence that had been building among the thugs collapsed into silent dread. "Oh, and I've heard about the filth you scum pulled. People like you don't deserve to breathe the same air as the rest of us. This world's better off without you." Sasuke stepped forward with his usual calm arrogance and smirked. "Don't go thinking you're having all the fun, Naruto." The two exchanged a knowing glance before springing into action. "Multi-shadow shuriken jutsu," Naruto roared, sending a storm of spinning blades into one half of the crowd. "Fire style, great fireball jutsu," Sasuke declared, launching a massive sphere of blazing heat into the other side. Agonized screams tore through the air as the two attacks hit home. When the dust cleared, the ground was littered with mangled bodies, some charred beyond recognition, others riddled with deep, bloody gashes. A few survivors stumbled away, barely clinging to life. Kakashi exhaled heavily, his visible eye narrowing. Even for shinobi, this was brutal overkill. These two were going to need a firm hand before they took things too far. Moments later, hurried footsteps echoed from behind as the villagers arrived, rallied by Inari's pleas to help. But instead of a desperate battle, they were greeted by the grim aftermath. The stench of death hit them instantly, and several retched on the spot. Sakura and Tazuna stood wide-eyed, still shaken from witnessing the slaughter of the ANBU earlier. It took a long moment for anyone to process what had just happened, until the realization settled in that the bridge, and the village itself, was finally free. Relief turned to cheers, replacing the heavy silence with the sound of celebration. Work quickly began to clean the bridge and prepare for its completion. While the villagers busied themselves, Tazuna and the Leaf Shinobi stepped aside to decide on their next move. "Tazuna, Sakura, you holding up?" Kakashi asked. Still a little pale, they both nodded. "Yeah," Tazuna admitted, "but I'll be honest, you shinobi scare the hell out of me. Watching you two fight, it's like the gods themselves decided to rain down judgment." Sakura's voice trembled as she added, I just realized how far behind I am compared to all of you. I understand now what this life really demands." Kakashi gave a quiet nod before turning to Zabuza and Haku, who was leaning on the swordsman for support. "So, what's your plan now?" he asked. "First thing Gato's vault," Zabuza replied flatly. "You and the old man can come. We split it 3 ways. That'll give me the funds to back the rebellion, pay you for this mission, because I doubt this broke-down village can afford it, and leave enough for these people to rebuild their economy." Tazuna's eyes lit up. "I'm in. Haku can rest at my place while we handle that. The bridge won't be finished for another week anyway. You're all welcome at my house. Yes, even you too," he added, pointing to Zabuza and Haku. They nodded in appreciation. "Understood," Kakashi replied before addressing his team. "Get Haku back to the house and patch him up. And Naruto, if I recall, you have some heritage matters to look into." Naruto perked up at that, while Sasuke and Sakura exchanged puzzled looks. Tazuna caught on quickly, remembering Naruto's last name. "If you're heading to what's left of your clan's home, it's about half a day east on foot, but for a shinobi like you, maybe a few hours." Naruto gave a short nod. "Got it, let's get Haku to the house first," he told his teammates. Tazuna's house after bandaging Haku and making sure he was stable, Naruto rose from his seat. "Where are you going?" Sakura asked. "Like Sensei said, heritage," he answered simply. Realizing it was clan-related, Sakura backed off. Sasuke just gave him a curious look while Haku kept to himself. Without another word, Naruto left for the Uzumaki ruins. 4 hours later, Uzumaki ruins, a tight knot of unease sat in Naruto's stomach as he reached the remnants of his clan's once great homeland. The ruined land bridge stretched before him, but his focus shifted when he noticed something he'd sensed earlier, a presence tailing him. His eyes narrowed. Come out, Sasuke, I know you're there. Sasuke emerged from the tree line, raising a brow. How long have you known? About an hour after I left. Now why are you here? Naruto demanded. Sasuke sighed. I want to understand you and your strength. Learning about your clan might help with that. You've hinted they knew about cursed energy, and while I'll respect whatever secrets you keep, I'd like you to at least share the basics of how it works. Naruto studied him in silence before finally muttering, Fine. Just don't get in my way. They moved deeper into the ruins, where dried blood still stained the ground. Bleached skeletons of Uzumaki and their attackers lay scattered in grim testament to the battle that had taken place. Naruto's jaw clenched, while Sasuke silently shared the weight of loss, thinking of his own clan's massacre. At the village center stood a massive building, untouched by time. Seals shimmered faintly across its surface. Burned earth and shattered stone around it showed that invaders had tried and failed to breach it. That's a blood seal, right? Sasuke asked. Yeah, Naruto confirmed. Can you open it? Naruto didn't answer. Instead, he sliced his palm, pressing the blood to the seal. Without warning, both were transported inside. The entrance was littered with the corpses of intruders, likely killed instantly by guardians whose own skeletal remains now sat like statues within the hall. The sight made it clear. The Uzumaki had been formidable to the last. They pressed on to the library. Naruto quickly created shadow clones to gather anything of value in the art of fuinjutsu. Sasuke wandered until he found a large scroll inside a protective case. Dobi, what the hell is this? I can't read a word, it's all gibberish. Naruto walked over, glancing at it. What are you talking about? It says the history of the Gojo clan and the Six Eyes. Sasuke frowned. It's like the Uchiha stone tablet, only those with the right eyes can read it. In this case, yours. Naruto tilted his head. You're saying this scroll is tied to my eyes? Exactly. And if I had to guess, it'll explain more about cursed energy and why your eyes use it instead of chakra. Intrigued, Naruto picked up the scroll but hesitated. I've learned a lot here already, but staying in this place any longer, it's hard. Sasuke understood and didn't argue. Naruto's clones sealed everything they'd gathered into a large storage scroll, and the two left the ruins. Village gates. Naruto stood staring at the mysterious scroll, still reluctant to open it. Sasuke placed a hand on his shoulder. No rush, we can read it back in Konoha. Naruto shook his head. I came all this way, I'm finishing what I started. We both have reasons to grow stronger, and we can't slow down now. He unrolled the scroll and began to read aloud. If you are reading this, then a new wielder of the Six Eyes has emerged. The vow I bound to this world has been broken, and cursed spirits will begin appearing in great numbers. You must be confused, so let me start from the beginning. My name is Satoru Gojo, descendant of Sugawara Michizane, and the second to wield the Six Eyes. This is the tale of how I came to the